Ladies and gentlemen, today is Friday, April 3rd. Thank God it's Pod Day, and welcome to Can't Stop Playing Episode 5. I'm your host, Zach Ghost Robo, and today we are tweaking things a little bit, bringing you guys a fresh formula, which should be a lot of fun. Gabe already knows it's fun over there.
When you said we're tweaking things, I don't know why. Like, I do this thing where when someone's speaking, I finish their sentences for them in my head. I thought you were going to say we're twerking today. I'm like, whoop.
Gabe is twerking in the video version of the podcast. So let us know what you think of this slightly updated formula. We're going to be talking games. We're going to be talking your emails. We're going to be talking the gaming apocalypse, which will take shape in our main event, a new segment that we have for you guys in a little bit. But yes, Gabe, Volatile Gabe, is joining us, and I've got a bone to pick with you, Gabriel.
Okay.
You're from Texas.
Unfortunately.
Whoa.
Most of us know this. Last night I was in the Chicago airport.
Yeah.
And I had a flight at 9:50 back to Indiana. About 9:35 the flight gets canceled. The ironic part of this is when I got to the airport at 7, I told my brother, I'm like, we could just drive home. We'd be back in the same amount of time. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
We wandered around the massive O'Hare airport. So I wasn't sticking around. I went and got a rental car. And I get it all set up. It's all good. I go out to the lot. They're like, yours is number 18. There is one car with a Texas license plate, and it's the car that I have.
Oh, okay.
So I knew we were in for adventure.
Yeah.
And on the way home, literally the worst fog. Like, this was like impenetrable fog. Like, I don't know if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, but there was this series of episodes where Garlic Jr. spread this black water mist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody that's basically what it was. It was either that or that terrible movie, The Mist, from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Literally, like
That movie had a crazy twist at the end.
Is that the one with Superman? Tom Welling.
No, I don't think so.
What's that movie? It's like, it's a name like that, where like Tom Welling's like locked in a mall, or like locked in a store, and like there's a
mist, not mall, mist.
No, I know, and there's a mist outside, and there's like creatures in them. Is there creatures in the mist?
That sounds like the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing. Maybe
I
it
think
is.
I think
But I
it's
don't
Tom
think
Welling.
it was him. But okay.
Well, either way,
I'll IMDb this, but keep going.
it was this horrible, like, just Texas-fueled, like, fever dream. I'm telling you, it was the curse of the car, because once I got home, the fog lifted. It was all fine. But
all right.
in that 4-hour drive, I was, like, dozing in and out. My brother was driving, and it was one of those things where every time I wake up, I thought we were, like, an inch away from death because the fog was so thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hit the brakes! And be like, we're fine. But literally...
I'm just picturing you screaming, hit the brakes! Like 40 times throughout the entire ride.
I will say that we changed seats because I started driving and I got tired. We changed seats at one point in the middle of nowhere. This is in like the very like the back country of Indiana, and I got out and there literally could see nothing except like mist, and I thought like I was gonna get eaten or kidnapped or stolen.
They're gonna steal you?
I don't know. You never know what happens in the mist.
Two things I want to bring up. One, the Tom Welling movie is The Fog, not The Mist. You can see how I can easily get that confused.
There you go.
All right. And the other thing, I mentioned this to Zach last night, late night Skype message like saying, hey, driving back, we should still be able to do the podcast on time, because schedule. But he's like, I'm driving back, and I'm like, whoa. Like, how long is it going to take you? He's like, oh, like 3 hours. I'm like, how do you do that, man? Like, I have to drive like 9 hours, and I'm still in Texas. Like, going to Dallas from where I'm at is like an 8.5-hour trip. Here, he's driving 3 hours, and he's going from Chicago to Indiana. Like, it's crazy.
Is that like is that like a big distance, or is that a good amount of time?
I'm saying that Texas is basically its own country at this point.
Yeah.
In Gabe's mind, Texas is just like the whole continent. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait until I live somewhere where I can like drive an hour. I'm in a different state. Like if
I think you're good. I think you want to live in like Florida, California, Texas. Those are like the warm, nice places where you can't get out of them, and that's a good thing.
I'm the opposite. I hate. All right, but
until the zombie apocalypse hits.
Until the mist comes, and it was a freaky fog. I could tell about my actual airplane stories, but I don't want to embarrass myself. Okay, one airplane
anymore.
One tiny airplane story. So, all right, let's set this up. I'm getting on the plane. Me and my brother are sitting separate, and I'm like, I go up to the gate attendant. I'm like, I get extreme anxiety flying. Can you please switch me next to my brother? And she's like, sorry, nothing I can do. And I'm like, I like give her those like puppy dog eyes, and I'm like, can you please, like, just he's got a middle seat, just flip him with someone else's middle seat. She's like, nothing I can do. So we get on the plane, and guy sitting next to me. Before I even sit down, I'm like, hey, is there any chance you could switch seats? Before I even finish, he's like, sure, no problem. Where's he sitting? And I'm like, in the back of the plane. And he's like, no problem. The whole flight, I was so freaked out that he switched so easily because he wanted to be closer to the restroom in the back of the plane.
Oh, no.
I could not get comfortable for 3.5 hours.
You're insane.
I'm insane.
For a person that is so really paranoid about flight, you certainly do a lot of
I
flying.
like flying. I like traveling. I like the actual.
No, you like being paranoid then, like.
No, I like the act of flying. Man, once I like calmed my mind down, I sat there. I played Box Boy for like 2 hours. I'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, flying is like my yin yang. It's both beautiful and awful at the same time. Speaking of beautiful and awful, Max Blitzwinger joins us from the other side of North America.
Yeah.
What kind of fog-related
I
stories do you
forgot
bring
about
us?
the fact that you didn't even introduce me. Thanks. 10 minutes into the podcast. By God.
Hey,
But
it's like those late title cards. You gotta save the best for last.
Yeah.
there you go.
You're the
But-
main event.
With-
Max Claw Blitzwinger.
By the way, thank you guys for a lot of the incredible, and I say that sometimes with an exaggeration in mind, but the fan art is cool. But
Oh, hold up. Emergency update. We have to do a live fan art reveal right now.
Here we go.
All right, so we'll
And-
write
and
that down.
if you're listening on iTunes or Soundcloud or wherever, this is horrible radio, but you can check out the video version on YouTube.
Yeah,
But
I'll try to describe it to you guys.
every week there as well. I have not shown these guys this because there's a mystery sitting in Gabe's chair.
Tell Max about that right now.
All right, so this fan art, I'm going to send it your way right now.
Okay.
And you're going to instantly know that I'm, dressed as a Boo, and Max is dressed as Claw Max. And then we have Gabe. Wait for it.
Wait.
It's coming
What
through
the
the Skype window.
Wow. Wow. Well, first of all, I'm not sure how far you can even say that I'm dressed as Claw Max because I look like some mix between a dragon and a cat.
I thought it had a little bit of knack from like the PS4 launch in there as well, like a knack claw mixture.
Yeah, you're right.
But Gabe,
Dude, what am I supposed to be? I'm like a
Gabe looks like some sort of demonic creature. He's got basically it looks like his entire body is made out of a bed sheet, if you just covered a ball in bed sheet and then you stuck two pipes out of it as arms, and then he's got a whole bunch of horns like Sully or something from Monsters Incorporated.
Gabe, it's like you're like a centaur, who's got sent to hell and came back in real bad shape. You got spikes on
What
your
is
back.
this? Why is there horns coming out of my elbows?
We need to get amiibos of these things.
Whoever drew this, first of all, thank you. Second of all, what the hell am I supposed to be?
Oh jeez.
Wow. Gabe, volatile Gabe.
That's the highlight of the week. But shout out to
That
both
was.
Katarina and Angus for sending in epic fan art this
Yeah,
week.
we do have that other fan art that you can see if you're on iTunes. I think we're making it the image for this week's show.
Yeah, that one will be the image.
And it's also I'll put it up right here on the video. So this is the one I can show you. This is a great one. I love this one.
Nice, Gabe. So this is a good one. That other one was completely.
They're all
terrible.
good in their own way.
That's
we
not. I
appreciate
didn't
the
mean
fact
it
that
yeah.
people will even
Hey.
take the time. Again, me being somebody who's terrible at drawing, I can definitely relate. So, but with that in mind, thank you for still doing it.
Have you guys ever played Drawful?
Yeah,
Awful.
I have.
Oh,
What is
Drawful
that?
is
That sounds
it's a
familiar.
blast. Part of the Jackbox games collection on Xbox One and PS4. It's like this little game where every person uses their phone or iPad, and you'll get a crazy thing like Justin Bieber crying or a ninja ladybug, and then you draw it, and people have to type
Is
in.
that Draw My Thing?
It's more like what would you say,
It sounds
Gabe?
exactly like Draw My Thing.
Well,
But it's like people then vote on what so everybody submits an answer, and then people vote on what they think is the correct
Oh,
answer.
okay.
yeah.
But what if everybody
So-
submits the same answer?
Then it says you got the correct answer. Type another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it is Draw My Thing.
Like,
Is that the Canadian version or something? I don't know.
Draw My Thing is like a PC. It's a little bit more fleshed out than Draw My Thing, basically.
Okay.
But
okay.
it's freaking.
I've never heard of Draw My Thing.
It's
You know what wasn't flashed out?
what?
Nintendo's entire
Uh-oh.
direct. I've got a rant incoming about Amiibo, everybody. I was on board with the whole Amiibo thing. You know what? I was at first I wasn't on board. Then they got me. I came on board. I was like, okay, this is not bad. Like Zach comes on the plane. At first I was paranoid. Then I'm like, okay, this is not too bad. But then all of a sudden somebody makes a shifty move. And the shifty move that had happened was this last direct. It was basically just Amiibos. The whole thing was just a giant marketing campaign for Amiibos. They're doing Amiibos for everything under the sun. Yeah. They're doing Amiibo cards. They're doing yarn Amiibos, which do look awesome. But honestly, I think that at this point, I just feel like Amiibos have become nothing but a marketing push. Like I don't feel any genuine like creativity, or like I love how they tell you like, hey, and if you buy your Amiibo, you can actually do stuff with it now. Play the game for 2 hours. You're not going to be, or 20 minutes. You're not going to be able to actually get anything done, but you can certainly try with this new tap thing. So I don't know. I'm officially off board with Amiibo. I am done.
The Amiibo train.
Yeah, I just feel like it's so uninspired at this point. Like it just feels like at this point they're literally just doing, okay, let's just make.
Well, what would make it inspired though? Like not making them?
No, making either less of them or doing significant things with them.
On the counter side, like I think they had, like you saw with the Toad Amiibo in Captain Toad, it's now.
Oh, that sucked. The actual play feature's awful. Have you tried it?
The mode finding, yeah, it's.
You have to tap the Amiibo over, like, it's so just let me tap it once, and that's it.
The implementation of, like, the NFC thing is bad, but the fact that they're using it more as, like, physical DLC, I think, is pretty cool. Like, the Splatoon Amiibos have a pretty cool implementation.
Those are the only cool ones that were announced in terms of play features, but other than that, all of them, even this tap thing, like, let's be honest, it's not good.
Have you played Mario Party 10?
No, I have not.
You tap it every single turn. Every time you hit the dice block, every time you play a game, every time you get a coin.
All right.
I don't understand it.
I thought your rant was going to be more about like just what they're doing business-wise, like the artificial like exclusivity of some of these things, like Jigglypuff like being sold out like instantly almost. You can't find that thing anywhere already.
In American retailers, don't forget.
Yeah, in America, I don't know how it is in Canada, but here it's exclusive to Target.
No, for us it's not exclusive for Target, but it's like what I'm saying is in general, like if you live in Germany or something like that, people have shared pictures where they just have all of them. Like they don't have such a crazy demand for them as.
Well, I think I read a really interesting post on NeoGAF where they were talking about that the fun of Amiibos is the hunt, not the actual Amiibos, and that most people buying these probably get way more enjoyment from seeking them out than actually owning them or having them. And so in order for Nintendo to kind of keep that rolling, they have to continue the scavenger hunt nature of it, because once they become, prevalent everywhere, the allure dies down, the interest dies down, and the dollars die down.
Yeah, but I just feel like, didn't you feel like, okay, basically what this whole last Nintendo Direct was is Nintendo being like, hey, these Amiibos are selling really well. We're making more, everybody! And that's it. Like, that's all it was. It was so obviously just, like, who was it? I think it was Brandon Jones from Game Trailers who said it, and I really, really agreed with him on their Game Trailers podcast. Shout out there.
Traitor.
I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
We're going to kick you off our train, too.
He said that Disney Infinity and Skylanders feels a lot more inspired and kind of like it's a mix between marketing and actually like creativity, whereas Amiibo feels nothing but marketing and business, and that's it. It doesn't feel inspired anymore. Like there's no they promised all these things, and then now it's like they're delivering less and less actual functionality and making more and more Amiibos.
I think the functionality has stepped up. Like
it stepped up from nothing.
Yeah, from nothing. I mean, I guess it's like Skylanders were figures centered around a game. Amiibos are figures around figures that then provide you stuff to do in a game. I mean, I think it's a catch-22. I think they're sort of damned if they do, damned if they don't. The one thing I will say is that I did not enjoy this Direct because I was waiting for Metroid or Donkey Kong or something big, but they are at least taking steps to expand on what they already have. Like they updated Codenames Team in a very meaningful way, which to most people,
but it should have been there to begin with.
Nobody cares. For sure, but at least they're taking steps like, hey, we're adding DLC back to these
Yeah, but you
these
see,
other
this
games.
this
We're
is the
expanding
Nintendo
upon
thing.
our
You see,
pre-existing content.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but honestly, this is the thing that I always don't like about like the Nintendo fanboys and the Nintendo like hardcore is that we give Nintendo just the benefit of the doubt and we give them so much more leeway. Like when Ubisoft fixed Assassin's Creed, or at least attempted to do so with patches, nobody was like, hey, good job, Ubisoft, you're trying to fix your game. But here, when Nintendo is doing something, everybody's like, oh my god, it's an update.
Well, I think it's because it's fixing
it's
not
a
but it's something broken. Codename Steam wasn't broken.
Well, but it was a game-breaking feature for a lot of people.
It was a quality-breaking feature, but it wasn't like the faces of Abraham Lincoln was dipping into the South.
I know. Maybe it wasn't like a specifically good example, but I just feel like in that regard, like it's not an update that is like changing the game in terms of like, yes, it's changing the gameplay, but it should have been there to begin with.
Sure. I mean, I think the bottom line is Nintendo operates differently than everybody else, and so they either get the good side of it and the bad side of it. They get the bashing that all they do is release the same games, but then when they don't put out Mario, Zelda, Samus, people are like, where's Mario, Zelda, Samus? They, try to do some things with DLC. It's crap. They don't do anything with online. Why are they so far behind? I feel like they're in a position where, do I agree with what they're doing? No. Could I do it way better? I sure think so. But they really are in a spot that, except for the Nintendo like devotees, they get bashed around a pinball machine all day long. Like they can't win. Like Amiibos are making them money, right? The Wii U is not. If we want sustainability from them, if we want this NX future console to be great, it would be nice for them to have the extra research cash, right? Or the extra marketing cash.
But I just feel like, honestly, at this point, Amiibo has been out for long enough to where I need a platform to where these things can work in. You know what I mean?
That's what the next console will be. It will be an Amiibo console.
That's it. No games, no discs, just the Amiibo.
It might just be, and it probably would be a massive success. I'm just saying again, I think that at this point we're far enough into the life cycle of the Amiibos where, like, with the first, like with Smash Bros. And everything, I was like, oh, okay, we'll see what kind of functionality it has, and it wasn't incredible. But going forward, I was like, okay, so around Mario Party is when we are gonna see like actual cool implementations with these things. Like maybe I could take my Smash Brother Amiibos and bring those characters into Mario Party, and some of them would be really cool to see, and so on and so forth. But none of that was done. It's just the same again. It's like it's just so underwhelming.
Yeah. Like, I guess it's like how overwhelming though is putting one of the little Skylanders guys, Spyro, and having him, have two different moves than everybody else. Yeah. Like, is that?
Well, he doesn't have two different moves. He's an actually like functional character.
So you would like an Amiibo-centric game,
right? Yeah, that's what I want.
That's what I would like as well. I think
that would give these things more creative expression. If they can't execute on what they promised, and that is that these things are going to be cross-platform and they're going to work on different games. Let's be honest, that's not the case. They barely do anything anywhere. I would prefer for them to release a game, even make it like a actual like where you have to pay money for it, like Skylanders or something, and let me use these things in some way that is more than just figurines on my shelf.
Well, people need to come to the realization of it, and it's sad that this is where I stand with this these days, but I just don't care. Whatever Nintendo is doing, it doesn't matter. Like, someone is out there buying these things, in a consistent manner.
Oh yeah,
so
of course.
Whatever. Like, they haven't been doing what I want, what people like me want them to do for a long time, and I don't think they ever will again, and that's fine. Like, just shift your perspective. Like, Nintendo isn't the company from the 90s. They're not going to have another Super Nintendo. They're not even going to have another GameCube, like, as far as games go.
I just think it's really frustrating when you look at it and say, like, they could make a crossover game. They could make a Metroid. They could make a Wario and Waluigi focus game. They could make an RPG that incorporates the whole Mushroom Kingdom. Get Rosalina on your team. Get Daisy. Get Birdo. Get whoever. They could make, another F-Zero. Instead they make Fatal Frame, Fire Emblem Cross Persona. Like, sure, these things are appealing to their devout Japanese base.
Persona. It just looks like Persona.
Yeah, SMT Cross Fire Emblem, but it's like they have to know in the back of their minds that Fatal Frame is not selling millions of copies. They have to know in the back of their minds
that's why they don't care.
An RPG crossover, but I mean, I think with the Amiibo thing, the telling games are going to be Splatoon, Star Fox, and Zelda, because remember, games like Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, mean, Smash Bros. Kind of, but came out before or were preconceived before Amiibo. So the big titles going forward, like that's what I want to see. Are they in effect or not? Like I understand so far maybe hasn't been much, but this E3 and the rest of the games this fall, summer, do they do anything? That's going to be the telling sign. Because, yeah, tapping them and getting the costume for your Mii in Mario Kart, whatever, Mario Party 10, whatever. But do they provide anything in a main Nintendo game? Like, if we get a main Mario game or a main Zelda game, what is their functionality, if any, there? Or is it just random item drop, BS, new title screen skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, we spent way too much time talking about Amiibo. We spent...
me rant.
Yeah.
That was Max's life this week. It was full of
that and Bloodborne. So on Bloodborne, just a quick update. I beat the thing with like the open back, like that really gross monster that's like poisoning and stuff.
Bloodstarved, my nightmare beast.
Yeah. That
the boss that I beat on my first try, and Zach just couldn't beat him.
Oh my god,
dude! It took me 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that thing is annoying because it's fast. That's the problem. It's like it's really, really quick. So it becomes challenging in that regard. But on the other hand, it's really, really easy to dodge against that thing. So
my big problem is, and reading through my comments, like everyone's telling me I'm playing it like Dark Souls, which is attack, jump back, attack, jump back,
no,
and you have to close and kill, and that was kicking me in the face.
Yeah, you got to close the distance.
Yeah.
Do we feel that this is still like epic all throughout? Because it seems like people have kind of soured on it in the general.
What, Bloodborne?
A little bit.
I love it more than I did a week ago.
Do you? That's good. How do you like that co-op, Gabe?
Dude, you're laughing because our co-op experience was weird. Our co-op experience was very weird.
It took 10 minutes. Okay, this is Bloodborne Chalice Dungeon co-op at its finest. I get in the dungeon. First of all, it took like 10 minutes to set up. I ring my bell. I sit there and wait 5 minutes for Gabe to materialize. We play
Okay, this, by the way, somebody, if you know how to animate, be prepared, because this is a perfect animation right here. But here we go.
We play a 6 to 10 minute, we ring the little bell, Gabe materializes. We play a 6 to 10 minute segment that says, thank you for your services, Gabe dematerializes. I am still there. I'm ringing my bell. Gabe is not coming. I'm ringing my bell again. He won't even let me ring
Gabe
the
just
bell
doesn't
again.
listen. Gabe won't show up.
Gabe won't show up. He's not listening to the bell. So Gabe then has to go and in his own version of the dungeon beat it. So now we're both back in the same place but in our separate dimensions. And then we ring our bells again and we reunite in floor 2. We beat floor 2 in 7 minutes. Thanks for your services, Gabe. He gets kicked back out to his own version, has to beat his own version of level 2. It was literally like an hour and a half to play for 25 minutes.
Okay, Zach, what the game wanted us to do, the game never wanted me to go play alone. It wanted you to come play with me on my section. So
why would we have to do the same thing twice? That's so stupid.
It is stupid. And we had a totally broken experience because I was supposed to be getting items for some reason. It just wouldn't give them to me.
Invisible enemies were cool?
Yeah, no, like I think we just had a broken experience that one time. Yesterday I was doing some co-op, and it wasn't Chalice Dungeon co-op. It was just like story stuff. We beat 2 bosses together, me and a friend of mine. And dude, like we found each other. The first time it did take like half an hour. Like not that it took half an hour to connect, but it took us half an hour to figure out what we were doing wrong.
What 2015 game though? Why was this not QA'd? Why was this not focus tested? It's like
it was focus tested. It wasn't the game's fault. It was our fault.
It was our fault that we had to ring bells, dematerialize.
All right. And this is gonna sound dumb. This is gonna sound dumb.
10 forums to figure out what we were even trying to do.
Yes, the reason why we couldn't connect is because one of us did our math wrong.
What?
Because the only way you can connect with someone else is if you're within 10 levels or plus 10% of stats within them. So, like, let's say I'm level 60, Zach is level 70, then we're fine. We can connect. But if I'm like level 58, but I'm still within 10% of Zach's stats, we should still be able to connect. So you gotta like count your stats.
Jesus, but that sounds overly complicated.
Max,
like,
none of this is on the back of the box. None of this is in the game. This is all like as difficult as Bloodborne story is to understand. That's how the co-op is to understand. You're just like
well, maybe that's just part of it.
And you're the 5-year-old fending for your life. Your dumb mom threw you in, and you either sink or swim. And I mean, we swam, but it took us like.
Zach, I got it now. Like I'm way ahead of you level wise. I don't know if you're ever gonna catch up. But I'm saying, like, if we were to try again, we would have a great time. But
no, it would do the same thing. It would kick you out at the end of the level.
No, no, no. I know on the Chalice dungeon specifically, but let's say we do like the story together. We can do huge.
Okay, so
chunks
there
of
is
it.
no denying the chalices suck.
They were super fun though. That's the sad part.
No, they're fun. They're really fun. It's just that getting connected is so strenuous.
How do you feel about that story co-op though? Do you feel like you're cheating yourself? Do you feel like you're wimping out?
It's so much more easy. Like it's really easy. Like.
But hey, I think that gives people a solution, right? Like,
Sure.
If you're struggling with the game, that's a good way to go about it, right?
It's a grinder,
you
or
could have somebody else
find.
join you
Grind or find.
to take
the
everybody
Bloodborne
down.
way.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, Bloodborne's still very, very, very good. I've even come around on the loading screens a little bit because I feel like they give me time to like go through all 7 stages of like denial and everything.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm like pissed, but then slowly I'm accepting of it. I'm like, yeah, you made a mistake over there. You know. It gives me-
Yeah. So that's where you're at now, right? You just beat the Bloodstarved Beast, right?
Yeah, but I've gone like I'm playing it very weird where like I'm over leveled most of the time and like I do a lot of exploring and like I'll like every time that I have just enough for like an upgrade I run right back. Like so I don't play it like most people do where like
I
you
was
start
freaking
taking
out
more
last
risks.
night. I had like 100,000 souls. I'm like, man, like I was playing co-op. I'm like, dude, let's just get back to a lamp. I know I'm gonna lose you. We'll connect again, but I need to go level up. 100,000 souls. That's so significant.
Yeah, I would be panicking at that point.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're on New Game Plus, which I can't wait for, by the way, like I want to try New Game Plus. That seems to be what I wanted Bloodborne to be, because I said this to Zach, but honestly, this game's a lot easier than I thought it was. Like, people.
I think it depends. I think you can play the game in a variety of ways. I've talked to people who have leveled up a ton, and then they're like, yeah, Father Gascoigne was a breeze. And then there's people who beeline for him before Cleric Beast, and are like, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in a video game.
Yeah, see, but remember, I've never played like a Souls game to its full extent. Like I've played a couple hours here and there, but so I was more deterred by just people's perception of what these things are going to be. Like they're saying, no, this is like crazy hard. Like, you know, prepare to die. You're gonna die a lot. Like I die and it's fine and everything, but like
I think the first few hours are really where the challenge lies.
And even then, like it's not that challenging.
It's pretty hard.
I don't know. I think it's pretty challenging. I think you also have to remember though, Gabe, that you're an experienced gamer, right? Like you play a lot of games, so
Sure.
So your difficulty curve is very different than an average player.
I'm not saying like, oh, I'm amazing at Bloodborne. That's not it. What I'm trying to say is like New Game Plus apparently ramps it up so much more, and apparently that's what I like. What I thought Bloodborne doesn't happen until New Game Plus. So I want to start that. And are you guys aware that there's people that are on like New Game Plus?
Yeah. I don't get that. I don't get why you replay a game 5-6 times, but.
Tell that to Saint Get Out of Hell. But all right. So that was our check-in with Bloodborne. Zach, what did you play anything?
I went to Chicago to play Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 10, but not 10.
Did they play the theme?
No, I wanted like a dance group to come out and be like Mortal Kombat.
I kind of wanted like it would have been amazing if like they greet you at the airport as you land and they just all of a sudden it just goes like Mortal Kombat.
It would have been epic. We toured NetherRealm, played the game. I saw Ed Boon in his office. He wasn't like saying hi or anything, but he was in his office. They had like Raiden's original movie costume, Goro's original movie head, all the games they've ever made, original artwork, lots of cool stuff. But the game itself I was very impressed. I like 9, huge Injustice fan, and this definitely, I feel, is their probably finest game of the last era. And it has me super excited for Injustice 2. But Mortal Kombat, like, I don't have to explain it, right? It's incredibly gory, incredibly visceral fighting. I feel like it's been sped up. It feels quick. The environmental integration here is much more traversal-based than like attack-based. In Injustice, a lot of times you're like pulling guys' heads off of statues and smashing people with giant hanging meats and things like that.
Sure.
Here it's a lot more like bouncing off the walls. There's a couple, that are like, hey, throw this old lady at someone, which I thought was so.
Is that an old lady statue or is it an actual?
No, there's an old lady standing at this market, and you just go in the background, grab her, and chuck her. It's like, all right, that's how we're gonna be.
That works.
How effective is that? Like, why would you even do that?
The craziest part of Mortal Kombat is that you do some of the most disgusting attacks ever, and the characters get right back up. So like the X-rays, you'll like, jab your fist through someone's neck, you'll pop out their jaw, you'll crack their spine in half, and they stand up like it's like another, day at the beach. But it's 60 frames per second. It looks gorgeous. I was worried it wouldn't look next gen. They delayed the last gen versions, and this next gen standalone right now looks really, really good.
Current gen, because people
Current gen.
keep saying, Ghost, it's not next gen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still waiting for next gen when we actually get good games. But current gen Mortal Kombat looks really, really, really good. And there's a lot of stuff in there. They talked about, they wanted to make this sort of the big ultimate Mortal Kombat. So they've poured daily challenge towers in there. They've poured test your might in there. They've poured a lot of online components. There's this whole like faction system where you can kind of earn points for a specific faction. Not really sure why you would do that, but for people who are really hardcore in Mortal Kombat, it gives you more reasons to play every day, to put your time in. There's a mobile app that you can kind of grind out and ties in with the game to get new costumes and things like that. But like the moment-to-moment fighting, I'm not like a pro fight game player at all, but I think Mortal Kombat, the NetherRealm system, whether it's Injustice or MK, is my favorite hands down. More than like Marvel vs. Capcom, more than Street Fighter, DOA, Tekken. It just has a way of appealing to new players or like mediocre players in a way that I don't think the other games do. Like our fights still looked really good even though we had no clue what we were doing for most of the time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of gameplay up on your channel. So if people want like more detailed look at the game.
Yeah. The story again is very like tongue-in-cheek but very cinematic. I think that's going to be a big draw, that they actually take like the fighting game stuff and put a crazy, blockbuster movie type story around it. It's not of the quality of Avengers, but reminds me of that in the sense that it's like everybody comes together for this epic battle for the worlds. I think it's going to be one of the highest rated games of the first half of the year.
Oh, nice.
It's
okay,
like
cool.
My favorite character is Devora. She's this bug beast creature, and probably the newest best feature of the game is the different forms. There's 3 forms per character now, and when I heard that at first, I was like, oh my god, super complicated, tons of buttons to memorize, stances. I never like stances. Like when you can switch stances in Soul Calibur or Street Fighter, I'm like, no, don't do that to me. But here, it's more like
don't make me think.
Don't make me think. No, I can barely memorize the freaking combos for regular Ryu. But like in this, so I'll take Devora as an example because I played her the most. She has 3 forms. One is focused more on poison. One is focused more on like range, and then one is focused, I believe, more on speed, or maybe it's damage. But so for her poison one, I'll take one attack in particular, because what changes is how some of her attacks are executed, and then a couple moves, maybe 2, 3 different moves. And obviously they're very similar button combos. Like Mortal Kombat is all about up and Y, little quarter circle, nothing too crazy. But so she has this bug on her arm, and in poison mode, the bug squirts poison, which damages the character over time. In the range mode, she throws the bug across the screen, and it hits him. That's kind of just an example of how it's modifying the form in a way that would make you find your favorite, but not make you freak out over which is like the best or what, memorizing whatever. And another example, she has this bug grenade that kind of pops out of the ground, and one of them not only pops out of the ground but kind of holds the character for a longer period of time. It's very cool how it's handled. Sub-Zero, he has either like ice weapons or an ice clone that he can make as a shield and a projectile. Super great to go back and try out the different versions and find your favorite. So now instead of 25 characters or whatever, it's 75 characters. And I think it adds a lot of replayability just to be able to go in and figure out, like, hey, I like, this Johnny Cage. I like this Johnny Cage because it suits you and your interests more. And I wonder for tournament play if people will change it up based on like who they're facing. So say I'm a Scorpion player, but you're playing as Raiden. Well, maybe I'll choose one of the alternate forms of Scorpion because that, matches up better with your character or things like that. It could just get really interesting.
Yeah, and that's out in a week on the 14th. So
14th.
Yeah. 10
so
days. Yeah, 10 days. So yeah, I mean that's coming, and it's coming soon. Look cool.
Axiom Verge. Tell us, game. Regale us with tales of old games that review highly.
A much smaller game. This isn't Mortal Kombat. This isn't Bloodborne, but it's still a great game. Like, you know, a lot of hyperbole is thrown out there about what this game is. Like they're like, oh, Super Metroid finally has a sequel. Like I think people need to give stuff a little bit more room to breathe before they start throwing out like terms like, oh, this game's already like a classic. Like, this is our classic Metroidvania game. Like, nah, come on. Like, game just came out. It's great. It's really, really fun. You played what, the first 20 minutes of it, right?
Yeah, I only had a chance before I took off this week to play a little bit of it. It definitely felt like down to the doors and stuff. It's like Metroid inspired.
It's Super Metroid mixed with Contra. Like, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the music is fantastic. The soundtrack available separately, and that's how you know the music is great in these games, in these indie games. When they're throwing out the soundtrack like separately for sale, that's how you know it's good. But the level design, the enemy design, it's great. And what can you say about a game like this that you haven't said before, right? Like, this type of game has been around for a long time. And here they do it right. Like, the bosses are not inventive, but they're different enough from each other that they all pose an interesting challenge. The game has the right amount of difficulty. It's not like super easy. Like, this isn't a dumbed down Metroid. Like, the story makes like no sense. Like, you sort of die. You're like half robot all of a sudden, and you end up becoming like a god. Like, you get all these powers. You can phase through walls. You can like jump super high. You can do all these crazy things, but yet like you still look like a scientist the whole time. It's sort of weird in that aspect, but yeah, like if you're into Metroidvania style games, and like I said, what can you say about this?
My
that
question
has
for you, I guess, is I've seen a lot of really high praise for it, like 9 out of 10, the best Metroid since Metroid. Like, are we at a point where we need to have 2 different review scales? Because it seems so many of these games come out, these sort of retro-inspired games, and garner 8s, 9s, 10s, and then current gen, games struggle to get like a 7, and the scales just don't seem to, like, the formula for an SNES style exploration game has been so defined. I don't know how it's like fulfill these checkboxes, get a 9 out of 10. Like, how?
I don't think so. Like
No, I think this game does a really good job from what I've seen. Like it's really inspired in terms of like the upgrades. I think that's a really cool element. Like
what upgrades?
There's
like the unique weapons and stuff.
Like the weapons, the lab coats.
Because I would say there's no upgrade system or anything like that.
Well, yeah, like I mean what do you call it then? You get
power-ups.
Power-ups. Okay. It's the same.
Put that up on the back of the word, Max. Can't put it.
Yeah, I mean, I think upgrades. I'm thinking an upgrade system. You're putting points towards stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. That's like a skill tree, I guess. Okay, nonetheless, basically, like from what I've seen, there's some really cool stuff with like where you can fire your weapon at enemies and turn them to work for you, basically, so they no longer damage you, and then while they're like when you turn them to your side, they can reveal hidden doors and secret areas and so on and so forth. So it's like it's really, really, really in depth in that regard. So like that's what seemed to appeal to me. I think that more of the gameplay depth.
The thing is, that's been a thing though. Like nothing here is like revolutionary. It's just that they do it so well. Like the gameplay is so perfect, and the fact that they take all these ideas that, like I said, have been done to death over the years. 1995 for Metroid. Since then, I don't know the math on it. 90. Oh, okay. I mean,
for Super Metroid.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So Super Metroid came out in 95. We're in 2015 right now. So there's been a long time there to perfect that formula, and this isn't doing anything drastically different in any way. Like a lot of these weapons, we've seen variations of it. One of the early weapons, you shoot a big cluster and you press the shoot button again, and it like separates into little balls, and with that you get to hit little levers that open certain doors. Like, we get it. This stuff has been done, but the way that it's done here so perfectly, and because there's bad Metroidvania games out there. Like, I hate to call out games, but Oblivious like wants to do stuff like this, but that wasn't a fun time. The gameplay was really, really floaty. Like,
I understand that game.
It was
got
really
some high praise too. I'm just
Oblivious barely got any. Now, I don't know about the high praise that you're speaking of. I didn't see it, but this game, it's really, really fun.
But like you're telling me that it doesn't do anything drastically new. The story makes no sense. The graphics aren't great. Like if you said that about a
whoa, the graphics are gorgeous.
The graphics are gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you said that about a current gen game, You would
Yeah,
not think of it as a 9
to
out
be
of 10.
fair, but to be fair, that's the same thing for Smash Brothers, right? And Mario Kart, and I mean, most Nintendo games have the same kind of thing going on as well, right? In
Sure.
terms of like where I think that yes, does nostalgia play a factor for sure, but like for example, one of my favorite games of last year was Shovel Knight, right?
Yeah.
That game, it's like, yes, it's an element of nostalgia for sure, probably
Yeah.
clouds my judgment, but additionally to that, the controls are super good. Same thing with the soundtrack, incredibly good, and it
Oh, no,
appealed to
I'm
me
not
because of
denying the
that.
quality.
Mhm.
Axiom Verge is super fun. I'm going to play it as soon as we're done here.
All
But
right.
it's like, do you think that is it easier to nail this than it is to nail Watch Dogs?
I don't think so. Well,
Oh, I
sure,
think so.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So then should it be like a 5 out of 5 game and like they get half the scale or
All
something?
right, it's a different.
It's so tricky to compare them directly.
Because I don't think it's easy to make Axiom Verge either. Like, I don't think like anyone can just go out there and make like
Oh, not easy, but it's taking a couple of or a smaller team a focused idea versus like we're gonna make
Did
this
you know
gigantic
did you
world.
know that Axiom Verge was made by one guy, or like one guy or three guys? One of those.
Either way, that speaks exactly what we're just saying. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I
not
think
that
it's more.
easy, it's just that
I don't
a
know
different
about a
development.
different scale. Maybe I think maybe a different mindset as the person reading the review should be in case.
Yeah.
Kind of more like indie games and games of this nature are kind of more like TV shows versus movies are more of the AAA kind of experiences,
Sure.
right? Where
Sure.
you can be entertained by a TV show and just as much as a movie, right? But a movie is still a lot more grand in scale and has a lot more of that movie magic going on. So
Sure,
I think it's
And
kind of
there's a lot in this game too. Like it's like a 10+ hour game. So there's a lot of boss fights. All the boss fights are different. And keep in mind, like, you're getting all these. I'm gonna go with Max. You're getting all these upgrades or power ups, whatever you want to call them. And you feel more powerful. The enemies get trickier. Like the environments, like not a lot more complicated, but just a little more complicated, the right amount. Plus, you get to go back, do all the exploration. Like, there's a lot of weapons in this game. There's like 16, 20. It's a large number. It's over 15. I don't remember the exact one, but
16. Over 15, 16. Boom.
And this game is $20, right? On PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
Eventually
it is.
Vita.
$20 and longer than the order. So there you go. There.
It's twice as long as the order. And it's Vita cross-buy or something.
It's not on Vita yet. It's supposedly coming in the next couple of weeks, but it will like.
Same with PC. It's coming to Steam.
Yeah, it'll get you that cross-buy once it.
I
don't know. Just because it's a small game, I don't think we should be like, like I know they're not doing the AAA stuff that we want them to do, but games like this to me are perfect like. Stop.
I love them too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying if we look at like Castle in the Darkness, Darkest Dungeon, Axiom Verge, I feel like every small game that comes out is like a 9 out of 10.
Because they've been doing good stuff.
And then like the big games are like, I guess it's just like if this game came out for PlayStation 4, are you rating it highly because of its
quality or because of...
Well, I mean, I'm not doubting its quality. Again, it's just like the perception. If this game was released on a disc for $60 with modern day graphics, would you want it?
Sure. Why not?
Like if it was standing next to
I think it's smarter to say it like if this game came out during, like, let's say it came out the year after Super Metroid.
Okay, that's a good.
Would it have been received?
Yeah,
that would be a more fair comparison.
Yeah,
and I think it probably would have.
Yeah. See, it's like, do you want this to just look like Shadow Complex? Like you said,
no,
Shadow
I'm not
Complex
saying
is
that.
one of your favorite games, so
I think it's weird just that we have such. I feel like we have a soft spot in the same way that I and many people have a soft spot for Nintendo games, for like these nostalgia trips that then. I hate to bring up Evolve, but it's like the amount of stuff in Evolve is technically far more massive than the amount of stuff in Axiom Verge.
That's not true.
But people will say that Evolve is a short, repetitive game, and Axiom Verge is a totally big experience worth the money.
If you think Zach, there's no way you think there's more stuff in Evolve than there is in Axiom Verge.
Look at all the things you can do moment to moment in Evolve versus.
You played 20 minutes of Axiom Verge first of all.
Right, whatever. We'll play. I'll play more Axiom Verge, and we'll come back to it next week. Quick shout out before we get to our main event.
Yeah, this whole conversation though will play into our main event very well, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, this is the WWE. We got the main event coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Box Boy. This was an announcement part of the Nintendo Direct that you love, Max.
Mm-hmm.
Box Boy is made by HAL, the people who work on Smash Brothers a lot. Box Boy is a great game, man. Box Boy is one of the best games of the year.
I don't know what Box Boy is.
So
I would take Box Boy over Axiom Verge.
wait. After that entire rant,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Box Boy is doing something new, clever as heck.
And
Nothing
this
like
is the
Box
stuff
Boy's been
that
done.
Makes no sense to me. Like, how are you gonna sit here and you were not trashing Axiom Verge?
I'm not.
I know you
I
weren't.
like the game.
No, I see, but how are you gonna sit here and criticize that, and then you say Box Boy though?
Because I don't think I'd give
Just
Box Boy a
because-
9 out of 10, and I don't think the other reason is Box Boy is a brand new idea.
I don't know if those exist, to be honest. Like
How many
completely brand new
Diablo
ideas.
clones do we get, and people are like 8 out of 10? This one's so good. Like there's Diablo. They're releasing Van Helsing 3, right? This is 3 in 3 years of that same game. We got this Victor Vran early access game that's basically the same thing. There's plenty of others, and they all get high reviews somehow.
Sure.
Okay, Box Boy, you're a boy. And the cool part about Box Boy,
Yo, you want to talk about simple graphics? This is black and white, and it's
Box
squares.
Boy can make boxes pop out of his body.
It's squares.
This is what
Zach.
is so good
Zach,
about Box Boy.
Zach, it's a white background with black
It-
squares.
But it's unique.
In
I think Box Boy is more charming than Axiom Verge, to be honest.
All right, that's fine.
Box Boy is $5 on the 3DS eShop, and the little thing about Box Boy is that Box Boy can make boxes pop out of his body, and then he can throw them, or he can traverse through them. So like Snake
No,
style,
but trays from Axiom Verge can go through walls. Like, that's how you're sounding right now.
but Box Boy can like snake his way through a tight passage, and then press the button, and he zooms to the end of the passage.
Yeah, that's
so it's basically a puzzle game.
It's it's
Puzzle
actually
platformer.
really, really fun. And the thing that surprised me the most is that they were able to capture a unique way of doing puzzles, because everybody does like the, block puzzles, or the, whatever puzzles, but this somehow, the crazy brains over there managed to think of something different, and I give it props for that.
I mean, at $5, you can't go wrong, I would assume. Like, you have fun for an hour, I think you get your $5 worth, right?
Box Boy is way more than an hour.
No, I'm not,
Box Boy's a lot of levels.
I've never played it. I'm not saying it's an hour.
Box Boy gets real weird when Box Girl drops down from the sky, and then Rectangle Boy drops down from the sky.
I can't tell if you're joking. I think you're
I'm
joking.
dead serious. And then when they get to the computer and they see a meteor crashing into Box World and they have to save it,
He's making this up, Zach.
I'm
Is he
not
trolling?
making this.
So does this have anything? Does this tie in with that movie Box Trolls?
Are you?
My brother
I
asked.
feel like I'm being trolled.
You're
Like,
not being trolled. It has the title card is after like World 2 or 3, a late title card. Box Boy looks out. You see brilliant moment. Box Boy starts out in a small room, and it says 1 out of 1 because there's 1 page of levels. And then after you beat those 3 worlds, it scrolls really fast, goes zoom, and shows you all the other worlds, and it says Box Boy, and that's it. And you're just like, whoa.
Okay.
I don't see why this is so mind blowing. That's why I keep laughing. Like, I
Okay,
see your
so-
No, because it's like if you're playing Last of Us, and Ellie's like, Joel, we gotta get to Boston, and then all of a sudden it went and zoomed out to the world.
Oh, that's a
and
nice
there were
sound
pictures
effect.
everywhere. And my Foley work is on point.
Uh-huh.
And you had to get all the way to like Nicaragua, and that was where like the Fireflies resided.
Uh-huh.
all right, man. Cool.
The main event-
So basically, Box Boy is the greatest cinematic experience of all
Yeah.
time.
Don't go watch a movie. Go watch Box Boy.
Yeah, it's the real MVP.
Take us to the
The
main
best
event.
part about Box Girl and
Oh,
Rectangle
no.
Boy is they don't even say or do anything. They just follow you.
It's an interesting
It,
relationship.
it sounds amazing. All right, main event, man.
Ding, ding,
event.
ding.
Cue the
Our
main
idea for the main event was to center the show around a theme or a big game or a big idea that could kind of give us a springboard to dive into a world of delicious discussion. This week we took one from you guys. Raymond McGee, a longtime listener, has sent in a very interesting kind of quandary about the gaming apocalypse, as I'll deem it. He says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing a fantastic podcast." Are we?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Box Boy kind of raised the level, I guess.
So my question seems to be kind of deep, but here it is. Do you think, fellow podcast men, that the games industry is dying? On one hand, it seems as though the industry is better than ever, but on the other hand, the gaming community seems to be riddled with negativity. Creative risks and innovators don't get the credit they deserve, while repetition is rewarded. Gamers argue over pieces of plastic and get into comment wars over the systems they choose. Gaming journalism has now been reduced to clickbaity, tabloid-type articles that either overhype or underhype every game. Publishers release carbon copies of rehashed sequels or make collections and remasters of games that literally came out only a few months ago. But most importantly, gaming now seems to be about money. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft, Sony, EA, Ubisoft, and the like are all businesses whose main goal is to make a profit. I just feel like the passion in games is now so artificial. Whether it's the journalists who try to make games seem more important than they really are, the publishers who force games to conform to focus groups, or the general audience who demand that games be exactly as we expect them to be, and if they're not, the developers have lied and cheated us. As a result, oftentimes I imagine a world where video games were just pieces of entertainment, where there weren't websites questioning the amount of content in a game months prior to its release, and instead, where a game was just a game.
That was beautiful.
That was really, really well written and really well put together, and it speaks to kind of, I feel like it pulls together a lot of our thoughts from the first 5 episodes of the show, and it kind of gives us an interesting
conundrum.
Yeah.
A quantum conundrum.
Oh, that was a good game.
Yeah.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Leap.
Break out of 2015 and 2016.
And that's how we take that conversation seriously, guys.
Yeah. No, but I wouldn't. Dying might not be the right term, because I don't care what Zach says. Like games like Axiom, Verge, Shovel Knight, and like, yes, these are all like older looking, right? But
Box Boy, don't forget.
All those games from 1994 that you love.
I mean, Bloodborne's new, and that's great. Say what I know you didn't like it, but I think Dying Light was a bright spot this year already.
I don't think he's questioning games. I think he's questioning more just sort of like the way that it's become this mass media machine. Like as games have expanded to the 4-year-old, the 400-year-old, the everybody, iPads, iPhones, everywhere, billion and billion dollar industry, have we kind of just eaten ourselves into a vicious cycle of like overhyped disappointment, lie for money, pre-orders, delay, and that kind of has become.
To me, what if the industry is dying, and I think the thing that's killing it would be hate, like just hate in every direction, hate towards journalists for them trying to make more money, ad revenues down all around, like that's just a reality of the business, right? So they got to get their clickbait stuff. Then we were like, oh, we hate that, and and a lot of the ways that they get that clickbait stuff going is by, casting doubt on these games, like a long time before, or the opposite, building all this hype. And
but to be fair, look, it's the consumer that's clicking that, right? Like you can't. It's not about the composition of the article. You can't blame the person that put it together if the people that are consuming it continue to consume it. Like it goes back to the whole thing of like, if you don't like something, just don't participate in it. You know what I mean? And that's it. And then if that was the case, trust me, the IGNs of this world and whatever, or any other websites would adapt to a different formula, because it's either adapt or perish. So they would figure out a different formula. I think that with the whole idea of clickbait, I think it's like what you said. They have to do it to pay the bills, pay everybody, so that everybody has food on their table. But then they also put out interesting and intriguing and actual like journalistic, like super in-depth pieces as well. I think all the websites that are like the big websites, like the Polygons, IGN, and so on and so forth. Like I remember when Colin Moriarty worked at IGN, he did that like history of PlayStation, and those articles were like insanely in-depth, like super duper detailed. So I think it's unfair to say that it's always clickbait. I think that clickbait is like the way that they can pay the bills and like cover everybody. But then additionally to that, if you dig deep into the websites, you'll find interesting articles and intriguing pieces and good conversation and so on and so forth. So in that regard, I don't really see it always being an issue. And I think that it's one of those things, look, I think that's where you get to the point that video games are now, in my mind at least, and this again going to be you can argue, but like, they've become art, and when you talk about art, there's always going to be different opinion, right? Like when you show somebody one piece of art, they could hate it, where somebody else could love it. That's kind of a core component of art, right? Like is that it's not supposed to be universally loved or universally hated. It's kind of in the middle. So I think that we've gotten to that point now, and video games have become so big to where now, like, we do have mobile games, and we have these kind of older indie games, and we have the big AAA releases, and I think it's just become like a huge juggling act that is really, really complex to understand. So I don't necessarily think about it in such a cynical way, I think. Or maybe it's not even cynical. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's the right word there. But,
see, it's how you choose to look at it, because there's a lot of ugliness in the industry, Gamergate, and so on and so forth, whatever. Yeah. But there's also a lot of beauty in it. Like, you know, a lot of these people are able to feed their families off of, like, making video games. Like, you're giving people enjoyment. Ori and the Blind Forest is a tremendously positive experience in every way. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's also, generally speaking, just really, really positive things that happen. Like, for example, when gamers come together for Extra Life, or exactly. When gamers do like some sort of donation drive, or like when a group of gamers just raised something like $200,000 for food for the homeless. Like, that's incredible. That is really cool stuff.
People don't focus on that, and that's what the problem is. Like, I'm not saying the email, because that's a great email, right? But let's focus on the positive things. Even these websites are guilty of it. Like, they're making an article about the top 10 boobs in games, and they're not saying, hey, look at this charity drive, like, that's helping out all these people. They're not putting the focus on that. So it's up to us to find.
I mean, I think that speaks to, I'll pull up kind of like the dark side of this argument, which is that the expansion of the industry has caused a massive dilution of quality, focus, and care. Because as you grow massive, as you expand, now you're, even with the articles, like, now you're pandering to those people that want to see the top 10 boobs in games. You're not just going to the people that want to know about, you know, the fine details of how Arkham Knight is being made. And the way I kind of view it is like spread versus dig. In the old days, you know, of the 90s, of whatever you want to say was like the glory days of gaming, even last gen, at the early, you know, parts of it, they had to dig deeper within their current fan base, their current market, to appeal to them, right? It was about generating money and earning money from that core audience versus going and finding money. Now it's more about spread. Where can we find new money? Oh, in the mobile space. Oh, in the free-to-play space. Oh, by making a top 10 best, you know, cutest girls in game space. And instead of, like, great that everybody loves games, great that it's a worldwide phenomenon, and in some ways that's definitely expanded things for the better, but at the same time, you're now seeing a complete thinning out of what used to be a very focused core activity. And when you have a core focused group, you can cater to them. You know that, hey, these guys like this and they're hardcore, these girls like this and they're hardcore. We'll make games like Super Metroid, like Link to the Past.
Yeah, but that still happens.
But
Axiom Verge is made to that specific audience. But Bloodborne is made to a specific audience.
But you cannot deny that it has not shifted into a, hey, where can we find money, rather than let's go make,
like, sniper shot versus shotgun kind of strategy. Yeah, I know what you're saying to a certain regard. Yes, it has happened, but I think that at the same time we still, like, look, if you're a fan of old school gaming, you get enough games every single year, almost every single month at this point, that will let you play through only those types of games, and you can ignore everything else. You know, I think that it's become much more selective. Like, you can pick your experience. It's the same thing that, like, what the internet has done for all the other mediums, it's done for gaming now, where you can be selective about what you want to play. You want to play games that are only online shooters? There's plenty there available with different themes as well, so you can focus on just that. You want to play a sports simulator? There's tons of those. There's different variations of soccer simulators, and so on and so forth. So I don't know to what extent, like, this whole thing of, like, oh, let's appeal to as many people as possible.
But what about when Ubisoft makes an annualized Assassin's Creed, an annualized Far Cry, an annualized Watch Dogs, which is their inevitable goal, because they know that there's such a wide base that they can sell that to at no guarantee of quality, whereas previously you would have had to iterate on a new IP.
What do you want them to do? Like, when Watch Dogs sells like 10 million copies,
I think the expansion of the industry will inevitably lead to its total demise. I think it has to recondense.
There's no way there's a total demise ever. There's too many people that care.
Well, demise, I guess, from my standpoint of what I grew up knowing games to be. Sure, Candy Crush and
No,
will
well,
never
that
die.
stuff will always be around. Like the stuff that you grew up loving, it will always be here.
But
It might
not
be
in
a
the same
smaller
capacity.
section. Yeah, no,
And
not
and maybe in like an Axiom Verge $20 game, but you see it in this even in the space of major designers leaving to go do their own indie project because that's a viable thing or because there's more money to be made there.
I don't know. Well, they want the freedom. I think that's more about like, hey, I want to do this thing, not what you're telling me to do. Like as far as like leaving Ubisoft because they don't want to make another Assassin's Creed, they're gonna go do it.
Yeah, at that point,
but
I guess. But if it was in the past, maybe they would stay there and make a new IP. Look at the straight up facts of what was released the first 2 and 3 years of Xbox 360 and PS3. If you look at the IP in terms of Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, BioShock, Batman Arkham, Uncharted, you look at Mirror's Edge, a vibrancy in design. And now what do we have? Remasters of games that are months old, 6s, 7s, 15s, 2 of the same game from the same franchise in a year.
People seem to eat it up. Like they wouldn't.
Do. So the consumer is the problem because
Yeah, the consumer is very much a problem.
They are forcing the hand of
yeah,
the industry.
It's tricky because again, the consumer is like that old saying, the consumer is always right. So I guess in this regard, the consumer is right in terms of like, look, that's what the people enjoy playing. With the point of Assassin's Creed and everything, they're still making it an Assassin's Creed game. It's not like they're saying, hey, okay, so GTA sold a lot of copies. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to make a GTA clone, right? But we're going to just call it Assassin's Creed. But the gameplay and like being able to kill the citizens in a violent way and whatever, we're all going to make it like you're going to be able to steal old vehicles, and we're just going to make it GTA. They don't do that, right?
I mean, but Assassin's Creed, if you look at where 1, 2, and then went from there, it kind of did follow that.
It didn't go anywhere. It's still...
Well, 1 was very much a, like, linear...
No, I know. 1 and 2 were, like, 2 definitely reiterated on 1, and in my opinion is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, they've kind of rehashed the formula and just reskinned it and so on and so forth. But at the same time, Assassin's Creed selling well allows them to do this War of Mine, Grow Home, and to do these little projects, Child of Light, these projects that are passion projects for their people to get creative and work on a smaller scale, but still bring a really cool and creative idea to life. I think the issue comes in with people like maybe like what you're saying right now, where you just want it to be done on a more bombastic scale.
Right, because like the failure of Assassin's Creed would then make this War of Mine a massive game, or Child of Light.
No,
it would have to be.
It would make this War of Mine not happen.
Yeah.
No, they would have to find a new idea to captivate an audience. They couldn't just say, "Well, we're not doing anything."
No, but they wouldn't be able to take that risk. They would
have to take a risk. That's how they come up with new IP. The failure of past IP. Guitar Hero dies. Activision has to make something new.
I don't know if that's always the case. Yes, in certain regards, it could be applicable, but in many other scenarios, by that logic, you would never end an IP, but companies do end IPs.
Because they run them into the ground usually.
And like Zach's like, not that he's like clearly saying this, but he's kind of saying, hey, I want some of the successful stuff to really just fail.
I don't want it to fail, but I think
just so that there's new stuff. But you got to realize, failure often leads to closure in the industry. Like, it doesn't lead to like, oh, let's try something else. We just didn't get it this time, guys. No, failure nowadays leads to studios closing, hundreds if not thousands of people losing a job. Like, it's not as simple as like, hey, like, don't have the same game every year, but they need to pay like. Ubisoft employs
do that in the past because now they're so massive. If they weren't so massive, it wouldn't be an issue.
Well, also now there's a lot more competition.
But you see, this is the problem. You say, why are they so massive? But then you say, I want massive games.
But they made
so it's
8 years ago. We still got massive games, and we didn't have this dilemma.
Well, because there wasn't.
We still get some new IPs. Like it's not like it doesn't happen. Like Dying Light, Bloodborne, Evolve,
Watch Dogs. Like they're happening.
It's like we got like, look, if we count based on like the amount of games that have come out, we got just as much new IPs.
What's the reception of Watch Dogs and Evolve and like?
Yeah, but look, you loved Evolve, right? I love Evolve.
And I think that release at the Xbox 360 year 2, I think Evolve would have scored and done far better.
No, I wouldn't, because internet adoption rates were even worse.
I think
not just that. Like, the game is what the game is.
I think now we are so. Why is Dying Light successful? Because it's zombies and guns. We are so. I'm telling you guys, the sales of Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Madden, those drive the decisions in the industry. And the people buying games today are different than the people 8 years ago. And what they want
and the
is
people buying
that.
games 8 years ago are different than the people buying 16 years ago. It's like,
Right, but we've seen a flowering of the industry in that last turnover, in the last 5, 7, whatever you want to say years. Once like the iPhone sort of came into its huge juggernaut status, it's been different. Look at Steam. Remember when we would get like 2 Steam releases a week? Now we are inundated with early access, broken,
just don't
beautiful, great, terrible, everything.
Green GOG.
Yeah,
or like again, you see, the problem is like I almost feel like what everybody wants is this super like curated experience, you know, where like you're just told, okay, here's this box, and whatever we put in this box is quality, and I can guarantee you that, okay? And that box could be a console, that box could be a platform like Steam, whatever it is, but it's this kind of like perimeter that you work within. But we live in a time and age where this and internet, and I pointed to my iPhone to the listeners on the podcast, you are forced to do a lot more of your own work. You kind of are forced to seek out whatever it is that you want to play. So you follow the things that you're passionate about, and that's it. Yes, you're not going to get this curated kind of platform anymore, maybe, or maybe somebody will come up with it, and there you go. That's going to be a really big seller. But right now, I feel like there's never been a time that you could get as much variety. Like we still get a ton of really cool, unique, inspired games, things that have not been done. Maybe it's not on the scale that we would want it to be at, but at the same time, I think that scale works perfectly fine, and maybe some of these ideas, when they are blown into a bigger scale, they actually fall flat on their face, because then we evaluate them in a different mindset, like we said before, when we look at something like Watch Dogs versus when we look at something like Axiom Verge. Your expectations subconsciously right away are different of what you expect to get out of this experience versus this experience, you know? So basically, like, I just think that it's just a different time. As socially, as a society, we've changed a lot in the last even like 5 years. The way that technology allows us to evolve as a society and evaluate things have definitely speeded up, and because of that, the way that we experience the games has changed as well.
Yeah, like I don't see how you love Evolve, you love Bloodborne, you love Ori and the Blind Forest, like
Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, like there's all these things that are obviously great, and you agree that they're great. So I just don't see where.
I mean, I guess you could say that about anything, though. Like the sun is shining, the grass is green. It doesn't matter that there's, war around the world.
And I guess that is what I'm getting at. Like, why must we complain about everything? To me, that's what's killing the industry. All these complaints, all this, why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? It doesn't matter why it's not that.
Do you think there's some validity to that, though?
Like, absolutely. There should be complaints, because if there's no complaint, then nothing's going to change. Like.
Yeah, sure, but when like
I would argue, in fact, that the problem is the complaints are not being executed on. Like people were furious with Assassin's Creed for being whatever it was, a mess
but
at
then
launch.
You cover it, and then you play
and it sells millions of copies,
and then that's why.
Right, of course.
See, but I'm saying what gets lost, and instead of like putting the focus on like, hey, we don't like this, change it now. Why not put the focus on something you do like fully?
Because that clearly, like what we just mentioned, Ori, Axiom, Evolve, those games are all lost in the shadow of Assassin's Creed. Whether Assassin's Creed is broken or perfect.
Evolve did a lot of anti-consumer practices, and
that was all
it suffered because of that.
But how can you say that that's any more anti-consumer than releasing a game where the faces are falling off a character? But people buy that in droves, and they will make another one.
Yeah, and people complained about it, and we'll see what happens this year.
Call of Duty is a good example. Sales have been dipping for the last few years, and they're going to continue to dip. Like, Activision is running the franchise into the ground, not by making bad games. I don't believe they've made a bad Call of Duty game in a long time.
Oh, no, they did. Ghost was...
Oh, sure. I forgot that thing even existed.
Yeah, you see?
So bad you just blacked it out of your mind.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's taking longer, but what you want to happen is happening. Like, Activision needs a new Call of Duty. To them, it might be Destiny, and I know you don't care much for Destiny, but there's a group of people that really, really love it.
Don't you think Destiny is like the embodiment of why gaming is in trouble, though? Massive sales, massive amounts of play hours, a very underdelivered game that was covered to death with huge promise,
I don't think,
and then completely overblown, and a system that takes advantage of the player in every way.
Okay. First of all, I think it's a case of you don't like the game doesn't mean that the game is bad. I can't. I would never be able. I would never be able to say that Destiny is a bad game.
I don't think Destiny's bad either. I think it's not what they said it was, though.
Yeah, but I think that most games are like that. 90%
today. Nowadays.
No. Even back then, because this is the problem. You see, if they came out right now, right, and if let's say Ubisoft had showed Watch Dogs the way that the final product was delivered, okay, like with those graphics, it would get nowhere near the excitement that it generated when they showed it the first time. Now, to be fair, is it fair to advertise this and to give this? Absolutely not. But I think that realistically speaking, did they really genuinely try to shoot for this experience like this, the one that they showed at E3? Yeah, I believe that. I know that maybe people are going to say more cynical people or more realistic people, if you want to call them, whatever it is, whatever class you want to classify them as, will say, oh, that was all just marketing hoopla. They never tried to go for that. I believe that there's people at Ubisoft who really genuinely tried to make the game look that good and really tried to optimize it to be as awesome as they could, but unfortunately, due to limitations with budget, timing, so on and so forth, what we got is the experience that we got at the end. And once again, I think that a lot of the hate for that game came out from the actual undelivering on what they promised more so than what the game actually was. Because I think the game, from a technical standpoint, the gameplay standpoint, and so on and so forth, was actually pretty good. The story was nothing incredible, but it was there and it was present. I'll say this much: I enjoyed the story of Watch Dogs more so than I enjoyed Bloodborne's story. You know,
do you think that Arkham Knight, they were genuinely trying to hit October last year?
No. That's a special case. That's something weird. I don't know.
Yeah, we would never know what happened there 100%, but that was just too much of a delay where it was kind of obvious that something went terribly wrong, or
I just wonder if we're giving too much credit. Like, oh, they're trying their best, but in today's day and age, it seems like deception and sort of that kind of manipulation of the market is an easy thing to do, and
I mean,
well, as long as the market permits it,
which is the problem. To be fair, permitting it.
But to be fair, like, let's put it this way: Evolve, for example, right? If, let's say, Evolve, they announced it a month before it came out, right? They said, okay, here's this cool game, check it out. Right. It comes out, I bet you it would have done better than it did.
Oh, the monsters are overpriced, the hunters are overpriced.
No, not just that.
I'm saying not just that. I'm just saying what they promise and then what we get is very different, and that actually hurts the game. Like, it ends up hurting the game not only from a score point, but oftentimes from a financial standpoint.
And that's why we're never going to get an Evolve 2. Like, we're really.
And I think. Go ahead.
No. Well, no. I was saying, like.
No Evolve 2.
No, like, we're never going to see. They're never going to have another chance to make
we're
that.
We're not going to evolve harder.
I think that it's like also, though, a whitewashing of these experience-driven games versus mechanics-driven games that is an undeniable fact that the Grand Theft Auto style of game design of big world, you're a big cool guy doing big cool things, is so much more lucrative to make than, hey, you're hunting monsters, hey, you're a plumber jumping on platforms, hey, you're a forest spirit, doing some hard platforming as the like.
But that's not
everybody. Look at box arts. Even BioShock Infinite is a great example. They could not put the Songbird or Elizabeth on the cover because people wanted white dude with a gun, so they would feel cool.
That's just the way. That's what the market wants, right? Like,
that's the expansion of the market to be appealing now to everybody in general. It's diluting the games tremendously.
Not really. Is GTA a good game?
It's a very good game. I don't.
Okay, there you go. So there you go.
Very good.
Is it a?
And
it's how is
do I need 3 GTAs?
No.
How are people okay with GTA
how
releasing
is GTA
3
diluted?
times? Perhaps GTA is not, as one of the originators.
How is Minecraft diluted? Like,
okay, but you're picking two of the biggest selling games in the world.
Okay, pick one that is diluted.
Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty.
Yeah, but is Call of Duty a good game? Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
but you're gonna say then that, oh, is Candy Crush a good game? Yes. Do I
yeah.
want 5,000 of them? No. Is Axiom Verge a good game? Yes. Do I
Then-
want
then-
it
you
every
don't-
year? Yes, but
You
no.
don't need 5,000 of them, but if there's a person that wants to play 5,000 of them, isn't that a wonderful thing that the market is so free?
know,
Yeah,
that's
because
what I
the
say.
You can
people
choose
who-
5,000 copies to
the
play.
people who want honesty, good coverage, and great games are losing out by the fact that we're spreading versus digging. Like
Not really.
in fact,
No, there's
we are.
there's 1,000 podcasts. There's podcasts that cover only
Exactly.
Destiny.
But
There's
do you have
podcasts-
more fun
So then
with
follow
EGM
them.
and 1UP than with a million game websites? Like everything has been diluted by
but why not-
expansion.
But why not give people the option to choose the way that you want
Because
to
you
consume
can't choose
their media?
everything, and so thereby
You don't
you're
need
not-
to choose everything.
Right, so you can't
Then
make
it's your issue to. Why are you following everything? You don't need to follow.
because if there's 100 games, you can't possibly find the best one.
But yeah, but there is no such thing in gaming. It's so subjective. There is no best game for everyone.
Oh,
You
I
can't
guess that's sort of
find-
what it boils down to. Do you trust that everyone knows best?
But nobody knows best. Like,
Right,
there's
but so
people-
instead
you
you're going to
just
trust
find-
that everyone knows best and say that we should make games for everyone because that's what they want and they know best.
I don't
They
think.
want
I
Assassin's
don't
Creed
think.
every year.
Yeah, but I don't think that gaming is made for everyone. I think that there's a ton of gamers who will try Bloodborne and hate it.
For sure.
The three of us liked it. It's just it doesn't mean that we will. Going forward, for example, Dying Light, I think it's an average game. Like I think it's like a 7.5. Like it's definitely not super inspired. It's a good game. I think Gabe rates it higher than me. I think you would rate it lower than me. So that gives you a range, right? It gives you a range of how much we like it, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's a rarity, I think, that with Bloodborne, we all love it. All three of us really, really enjoy that game. But I bet you if we brought in a fourth person who might hate it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're all
it's a
very different
subjective
type of
thing.
people that play games. Like,
But I'll tell you, I would rather have Dying Light hands down over another Assassin's Creed because at least it's doing something.
I mean, see, and
Yeah,
you're
but
putting the
you
focus on
buy
Assassin's Creed, though. Like,
Okay, but look at indie games. How many indie games
No,
now
exactly.
have the
Did you buy
limbo
the
art
last
style?
Assassin's Creed?
I don't think that we are the case study for it. We are the
I know.
outlier, the anomaly.
I know, but just in general speaking, like, look, when you say I would rather have, do you have Dying Light?
Yes.
Do you have Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, but that's
Can
not.
you pick? Is your hand being forced to buy both, or buy either?
If I was limited, I would buy Dying Light.
Okay,
And
so
that's
there you
fine.
go. So you,
fine.
so that's
And a million,
fantastic, because
like,
you have the
a million
option to
people have
choose.
bought it. Like, it's doing fine.
Yeah, but that's like
It's
such a
doing
great,
great.
like shining star example of something being kind of new and actually succeeding, as opposed to.
Shovel Knight, a massive
But
success.
you can't tell me that you're not dismayed by the fact that at one point Limbo had a really beautiful art style, and now we have 5,000 games with the Limbo art style. At one point, DayZ was like a cool idea,
Because
and
that's what
every
Zach
week we
said.
get a survival game.
Zach, the reason it doesn't bother me is because I find it incredibly easy. When I see Limbo did it, and then I see 1,000 games do it after, Limbo's the one that holds the place in my heart. I don't care about these other games. I don't
So you're
know
basically
why.
saying that for you, as
Gabe
long as
is a
you're
one-game kind of
as long
guy.
as you're in your bubble having fun, who cares what the game industry is doing? That's basically you guys' stance.
No, I mean that's not really what I'm saying. But I'm saying like, okay, there's gonna be a new Assassin's Creed every year. That's fine. Just
But why don't we want
As long as
change
people
there?
keep buying it.
Why?
I do want the change, but you know what?
I love the games you love. I love plenty of games. My game of the year list is going to be awesome this year. We've already had Evolve, Bloodborne, Axiom Verge, Darkest Dungeon, Ori in the Blind Forest, Dying Light. Great, it's going to be huge. But that doesn't like just because I'm eating the ice cream doesn't mean I ignore the bombs going off in the distance. Like
See, it's because you keep I keep hearing Assassin's Creed from your mouth. Why? Like
we could call it. Do you agree or not that there are more instances of disappointment and deceit now than there have been in the past in the gaming industry?
Sure. But
So why is that not an
But I
issue
think
to
it's
you?
because
Not to focus on
but I think no. I think it's because the reason why that is the case is because the games industry has become bigger and much more scrutinized, and we look at things in a lot more detail because the coverage is a lot more in depth than it used to be. Before this, it would be all of everything that we saw was very, very curated and was very controlled by the publishers or the magazines that wanted you to see it. Like when you bought your Nintendo magazine, guess what? They checked and made sure that what goes in there. It's not like they would just tell you the truth about all the bugs and everything. You know what I mean? It was their curated view. Whereas now we have independent coverage and we have people that cover things in a very fair manner and in a very just manner, where they go and they say, okay, this is what I got to play, and then this is what the final product is, and they are very, very different. Like the case of Aliens Colonial Marines, which in my opinion has hurt Gearbox because of what had happened there.
Yep.
I think you see that then translate into their bottom line, into the Borderlands pre-sequel, and just generally the way that people talk about that company now.
Yeah, and the same way, like I said, Call of Duty's been dipping. Assassin's Creed's gonna have the same thing. So I don't like. Why not just be like, okay, Assassin's Creed, it's coming. That's fine. Dude, just pay attention to something.
Well,
else.
I totally think that's a very good idea, but then we might as well just crumple up the question and throw it out, because then it's just like, hey, whatever happens, happens. We're having fun. I think it's like, the way that Fox.
I don't think. I hope, at least. I'm sorry. Maybe we came across that way, but I don't think I said that. I don't think I said that.
Yeah,
we don't need to pay attention, because I think that we do pay attention, and in fact, if we notice the things, like we can see the trends that are becoming, like for example, by this logic, Zynga would still be kicking butt, but their business is going down and quickly. It's nosediving because the market has had enough of that. The market has had enough of this over monetized experience and just ripping off other publishers and other developers of their ideas. And guess what? They're speaking with their dollar. Maybe it's taking a lot longer than most people would like it to be from like zero to hero, but it's still happening. Same thing happened with Evolve. People didn't like that consumer model, and guess what? It's not selling very well. It's not doing very well. It's not getting a lot of coverage.
Fox News type operations where the Order was, in a lot of ways, killed by a flamboyant media story that exists because gaming is so massive and they're catering to so many people that it's great to come out and say, oh my God, the Order, blah, 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 oh my God, Evolve, blah, blah, blah. That would not have happened years ago. It just wouldn't have. We would not have had that kind of...
But is that a bad thing?
I guess to me, in the way that it's shaping things based on sort of this... I mean, it's such a real philosophical thing of like, are you going to cater things based on the masses, based on money, based on quality, based on personal desire? Like, any of those are viable and fine. To me, it just feels like currently the industry is so driven, like Raymond said in his initial piece, so driven by money that they're willing to make sacrifices in virtually every other department. And I remember back, and sure there's nostalgia, sure there's fondness of the past, but like if I think about the 1-Up days, that kind of coverage, those personalities, the expansion of what we've got now, the clickbaity titles, it's not what it used to be, and that's fine, but to me it is all because of expansion and
growth.
Growth. And there's greatness in that, and we've seen lots of beauty in that. New indie studios, young people have had the opportunity to make games.
Yeah, to make a living making games.
Like,
right, for sure.
I mean, look at Kind of Funny. Like, they're doing stuff that we loved. Like, they're the new 1-Up to me. Like, not like super like the same, obviously, but
it's the same with any industry. When you have that kind of massive growth, you're going to lose something in the process. I don't.
Somebody else will pick it. Somebody smaller will pick it up along the way, and they'll say, "Okay, you might not have it anymore, but we got it."
Yeah, there's more of a niche experience that is driven. Like, look, there's a group of people that could grow up and say that we were that for them, like this podcast,
sure.
Right? So it's. I get what you're saying in terms of being driven by money, but that's just that's the society. Like then we're getting into philosophical and social context, and we're not talking about the game industry specifically. We're talking generally: is capitalism good, and to what extent?
You do agree that there has
capitalism is too
more
much.
Deceit and dishonesty, delays. Last 2014 was the worst year I can remember for games.
I don't know. Well, with that, also don't forget that there's an element of recency bias where that's the most recent year. If we went back and we looked at certain years, there probably have been some pretty weak years in gaming in terms of releases and everything. And 2014 just maybe an element of what had such a big impact is I think maybe there just wasn't a lot of big games that came out. So I think maybe that's what you attribute that to. But there were still a lot of fun games. Like we talked about Garden Warfare, I don't know why I'm blanking, but there were games that we all enjoyed playing last year.
Sure, Mario Kart, lots of stuff.
Smash, right? I mean, there were games there, I just think I don't know if it's a case of that there's more deceit or anything. I think we have a more of a microscope on the industry now, and that's why we see it more. I don't know if I think it could have been present, and maybe it was present even more, because now we look at it so much to where companies are starting to take notice, and companies are realizing like, hey, this is starting to hurt our bottom line. Like we can't do this anymore. So I think maybe it's a case of where we pay more attention to it now, which is a good thing, right? Than we used to. I think before this, it was a lot more of kind of la 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 Wonderland approach to video games, whereas now there's serious analysis happening of what is announced, what comes out, and what happens in between.
Yeah, and see, and I know recently pushbacks have been an issue, right? Like Quantum Break just got pushed back. I never thought that game was coming out this year, right? But like this has always been a thing. I'm going to mention a couple games that nobody like remembers or cares about. But Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, a lot of games like that, like they got pushed back 3 or 4 times.
Maybe the delays aren't the problem, but the way that they're hyped nowadays is a new kind of thing. The way that they're announced so many years in advance and promised in such a way that people may make purchasing or pre-order decisions based on what they see 2 years in advance. That's my issue. If you're going to delay a game, okay, I don't like it, but okay. But if it's this thing where Watch Dogs was all over every website for pre-order, and then it gets delayed and downgraded. I mean, if you remember Killzone 2, that was a humongous issue back at the PlayStation 3 launch when that graphical downgrade was so noticeable. And I feel like that was a one-time issue that everyone was like, oh my god, and now we seem to get that 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Yeah, see, and what's going to happen, and I really do feel this is the way it's going to go, people are going to touch the fire a little bit, like one too many times. Companies are going to keep doing it, right, until one day we say, okay, you're going to keep doing this, we're not messing with that anymore. You've done it.
I think it already has happened with
I think
happening. That was the biggest example, honestly, because I think everybody expected that game to be a massive seller, like because of the advertising, because of 2K, because of the push behind it. It was on TV everywhere. It was during football games, everything, and then what
Are we talking about Watch Dogs
sold.
Well, he said 2K.
Evolve.
Oh, Evolve.
I think that we've already seen
the
it.
sad
Like
part there is
they got burned. They got burned on the way that they marketed that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's already happening. Maybe it's not happening as quickly as we'd like it to be, but to be fair, again, nobody's telling you to pre-order it. It's still your own brain and your own decision.
I just think we have a focus.
I'm gonna go pre-order
a focus issue because it's like Watch Dogs, shady marketing decisions, huge sales. Evolve, shady marketing decisions, but probably a better underlying game, crushed, killed. Like,
I don't know, better for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it's like, how do we best highlight the things that we love and take focus away from the things that we're not happy with, and that is where I feel like we're at a brick wall.
Yeah,
because,
I mean,
the general massive public of gaming is still going to buy 30 million copies of Assassin's Creed no matter what, and it's like,
well, all right,
because they love Assassin's Creed, and because for them it's a good game, and
so then we suffer because of that, because they're allowed.
Well, you don't have to suffer because you don't have to play it.
We get Verge, we get Ori and the Blind Forest, we get Bloodborne, we get The Watcher, Witcher 3. Sorry, I mean there's.
I want to play The Watcher. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Like, I'm just saying, like we still get like quality.
I just feel like I would love for Ubisoft to do something new and cool, and it won't
they
happen.
are, and it's called Assassin's Creed Chronicles. Now, what do you guys think about? They're having.
Is that game a finished game? Are those vision cones for real? Are those really in the game?
One of them is coming next week. I mean, not next week.
So we cancel the season pass because we're sorry, but here's a new season pass instead.
It replaces it, and it's not next week. It's this coming month. So, I mean, they're coming, and I get what you're saying. Like, I fully understand, but, IGN had it be one of their big topics. They had an article, like, how we reached critical mass with Assassin's Creed, and IGN is visited by millions and millions of people each day. So out of those millions, if 100,000 people say, you know what, you're right. Like, there's been far too many Assassin's Creed. The quality has gone down drastically. I'm done supporting it. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's a societal issue more than anything.
And man, we went on this way. I mean, great question, and it sparked great conversation. But I think we should keep it moving at this point. Like we're starting to say the same thing over a couple times. So, awesome question. Who wrote that in?
Raymond McGee, big thanks for providing our first main event topic.
Thank you.
And we will get to the rest of your quite epic questions in a minute here. Before we do, let's shake off the sadness and enter Hype City.
There was no sadness. We're all positive. Let's head to Hype City.
You're the only depressed one.
Positive emotions, milk bags in hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hype City. Whoop, whoop.
I'll go first because I got mine
All right,
ready.
let's do this.
Awesome.
Titan Souls.
Okay.
Ooh,
You guys, you know about this?
No, what is this?
I played it.
Yeah, it's so fun. Devolver Digital made it right. It's a super hard game. Super hard game. You get hit.
Devolver Digital and hard games.
All right, you get hit once you're dead. Like, all right, when you hear Titan Souls, what do you think?
I think of Titanfall with Demon Souls.
Okay, no. You have an arrow, right? And it's basically just boss segments. You're going from one area to like different, and you're really just fighting bosses over and over.
That's a good idea.
They have different patterns. Every boss is different. You have to tackle them in a different way, and you're either trying to hit the boss once, or he's trying to hit you once. One shot, fight's over. So they're super.
Well, the bosses take a lot of hits usually.
Well, yeah. I'm talking about the beginning because I played the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this game out already, or is this?
No, there's a demo out right now on Steam.
Okay.
It comes out next week on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's like the Spring Fever Game of the Week for the week of the 8th.
It's the last one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll have gameplay of it up here. There is a demo on Steam right now. It's a hard freaking demo. Like, it's really hard. But
it's basically if you took Dark Souls and like said, what's the hardest thing about Dark Souls? It's boss fights, and then you 8-bitified it, and then you simplified that even
kind of
further. It's like a top isometric perspective.
Yeah, it's Zelda. Okay. It's Zelda mixed with Dark Souls.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Old Zelda, not new.
I don't know. Oh, Shovel Knight's the last one, by the way.
Okay.
On the 21st. So actually, Titan Souls is the 14th.
Okay, so 2 weeks.
We got a week. There is a demo though out. The price point on this one is $10, which is probably right. If it was going to be $20, I was going to bring up some worries, but at $10, I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. What I played of it's fun. Should be able to get early code of that, and then have some fun stuff for you guys.
Awesome sauce. That is great. What about you, Mr. Zach Ghost Robo Zach?
I'm gonna be
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Chronicles. It looks great. I just love the fact that they're revitalizing.
Yeah, you're joking, right? But I'm sort of excited to try it.
The only thing I like about that game is that it's paintbrush art and has a girl main character.
Alright.
But my Hype City for the week.
It doesn't have a very good track record with Assassin's Creed and main female characters.
Yeah. My Hype City for this week, I'm back on the Splatoon train. I like that they're pouring what I would consider like Nintendo main game quality into a new IP. There was an interview with Miyamoto where he mentioned that it initially was going to be a Mario character-driven game, and they decided to take that away for a multitude of reasons. But they've showed off a multiplayer mode, a single-player mode. We're talking different local co-op modes that are local competitive modes, ranked modes. Sure, it has some of the quirks about matchmaking and voice chat that Nintendo always deals with, but I love the fact that this game seems like almost an indie idea, like just based on its styling. You've got like a weird caterpillar paint guy and squids, but that they're pouring what appears to be massive development time and effort into the title, and I don't know if it's gonna pan out to be amazing, but I think
it was gonna be my pick for this week as well. I have another. I have a separate one as well, so I'll talk about that in just a moment. But the only thing is, again, I think that like what you said, I think honestly like it's just Nintendo. It's a multiplayer game. We need voice chat. Like you need to build that stuff in. And then I also don't get the whole idea of them locking off one of the game modes until enough players level up to a certain rank, which is just really weird.
Oh, really?
If you haven't heard about this,
No.
like one of the game modes is going to be like locked off until enough of the community levels up to a certain level, which sounds kind of interesting in theory, but it also sounds kind of a cheap way to like lock off content and say like, oh, until enough people play the game for a long enough period of time.
Are you impressed that they're more experimental with their DLC, like the 200cc edition of Mario Kart? Like that was kind of out of left field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool, but it's cool.
I mean, to me, I just give
Yeah,
them props for like $7.99, and you get a quarter of the game added in, like for the Mario Kart DLC Pack 2. To me, it's just cool to see those kind of games incorporating DLC instead of just skins and more maps or something like that. And I know Mario Kart.
But to be fair, you like the Evolve DLC.
I love the skins,
right?
but I'm.
So there you go. You see, it's like it's weird because it's like it depends on what the platform
See, $3.99
is.
for Mewtwo instead of like $15. Like, I'm not I'm not trying to harp on Evolve.
Yeah.
I think paying $3.99 for a new character in Smash, that's very reasonable. So.
And I liked how they announced that they're going to take fan voting like seriously this time, and actually, I assume at this point they have to incorporate it.
I swear, everybody listening to this, go vote for Waluigi.
Nah.
He's the best.
Who's your pick? So that's your pick, Gabe. Who's your pick for Smash Bros?
Claw.
Okay, never mind. We're going back, guys. We're going with Captain Claw.
I really would love to see King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country in there.
Does it have to be a Nintendo property?
I mean, PewDiePie's trying to get people to vote for him.
Oh.
But we know that's not going to be in the game, so.
Well, if enough votes come in, I don't know. But my
Epona.
pick.
Oh, I want Epona. I want to be Epona. There you go. That's my pick.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. My pick for this week is actually not a game. We've discussed this, that Hype City sometimes will provide us with other mediums of entertainment.
All right.
Yeah.
And my choice is Mad Max because that trailer was insane. That was the weirdest and like coolest and like most over the top trailer I've ever seen. Like that looked like it was directed by the same guy that made Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Like that Dredd movie. It looks insane. Like it just looks like it's crazy all over the place. And I think that movie is going to be definitely like the plot of that movie is going to be like Swiss cheese, if you know what I'm saying, in terms of the amount of holes that are going to be in it.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a lot of
When you
fun.
say crazy,
I think that movie looks a ton of
mean
fun.
like crazy, gory, violent?
Have you not seen?
I haven't seen the trailer. No.
Oddly enough, to be honest, I was going into it. I was like, okay, this is going to be super gory.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch the trailer, it's actually not all that gory. Like, I'm sure it will be.
Right.
The final product will be gory. But the trailer and everything didn't have as much gory or, like, over-the-top violent scenes. Like, there is violence in it, but the trailer has, like, it has a guy playing a guitar with a flamethrower.
Yes.
Like, there's just, like, it's so crazy. Like, the vehicles look insane and cool and over the top. The main bad guy looks like he's out of Power Rangers. So it's like, I don't know. It just looks so crazy and so
I'm
fun.
curious. Have you seen?
Plus, it's called Mad Max, and that has my name in it.
Have you seen the originals? Like Mel Gibson,
No, I did not see the original.
Oh, man, you're in for a treat then if you don't know what this is. Like,
that's going to be fun.
You think the game has any chance? Avalanche developing it?
Avalanche, good developers over there, man. Like, I think they do good stuff. I hope it does well. Hope it's good, first and foremost. I sort of want to piggyback off Max right now. It might hurt him. But I want to pick something that's not game-related too then.
Oh.
Daredevil.
All right.
Daredevil
It's going to cost you $3.
Daredevil comes out in exactly a week. So that night I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna binge them all like one right after the other. I'm gonna sit there for 13 hours, and I'm watching them all.
They're releasing the whole season at once?
Yes, it's a Netflix thing.
Whoa.
So I'm sitting there for 13 hours, man, and
How does that benefit them as opposed to like weekly releases?
Because you sign up for Netflix.
Yeah, like
because it's all there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like House of Cards.
Bloodline, another Netflix show that I 13 episodes.
I through everything.
Well, no, I
tell us about your Netflix queue.
Hype City is really highly populated this week.
Sponsored by Netflix.
I wish that would be good. Netflix,
yeah, no, but Bloodline is another series that they started recently. I saw it on 2 days. It's like yesterday and the day before. I sat there for 13 hours, like 6 hours and like 7 hours separate. It's a fun time. But yeah, man, Daredevil comes out next week, and I'm crazy excited for that. But yeah, move us along with these letters.
Can't stop asking at gmail.com is where you'll find our ears and eyes. The questions and comments have been insanely epic, so shout out to you guys for filling our email box with just pure gold. Derek sends in the first email. It's
Derek
about
the first?
Derek the first about it's about milk bags.
Oh, milk bags. Here we go.
So, funny story about milk bags, says Derek the first. When I was in 7th grade, me and another guy had a drinking contest at lunch to see who could drink the most milk bags. We could get 2 bags per person.
Wait. Sorry. Just a quick clarification. You can't drink the bag.
No, like drink
the most
in the
milk.
Bag. Yeah.
Okay.
Out of the bag. So he said that
Okay, good.
each student could get 2 bags per person. So we told everybody to grab an extra bag and pass them down. We would bite the corner and down one after another. How many bags do you think these guys got in their contest? I'm about to tell you the results.
Well, I know
3.
that you can't drink too much because your stomach is gonna just bring it all back up. Like I've seen some of those disgusting challenge videos.
Ugh.
So I'm guessing probably if they were kids, their stomachs weren't all that big. So I'm gonna go based on a mathematically geniusly calculated figure. I'm gonna throw out 1.73 bags.
I said 3.
Oh my god. The other guy drank 20 bags, and I drank 24 to win.
How are you alive?
Okay, that is a lie. Derek, listen, even if you're Derek the First, if you have a royal bloodline, whatever it is, there is no... How could a kid drink 20... Like, dude, these bags... Okay, maybe I'm looking at the bags wrong. Maybe they're tiny little packets.
Yeah, it's probably small bags.
Yeah.
Because
needless to
our
say,
bags are like this big.
Great.
They're pretty massive.
Yeah, I think this is probably like fun size, because he says, needless to say, I didn't feel too great the rest of the day, but I won. Love the show. Keep up the good work. He says we've replaced music on his commute to work, which is saying a lot.
That is awesome. Thanks, Derek. Yeah. And if you want, Derek, we'll do a special edition podcast where we'll sing your favorite songs, like "Shake It Off."
I thought you were gonna say we were gonna drink milk bags.
We'll shake milk bags to make music. And
yeah.
Hall writes in with a special email just for Max, and he says, "Dear Max, Cody, Claw Person thing,
okay.
Let's let you know that the College of Victoria in Canada has a class called the Science of Batman.
Oh my God!
So if you want to move."
I guess I'm moving to Victoria, guys.
You want to transfer. Taking things a little bit more down the serious route, Mike writes in and says, "Hey guys, first off, I love the podcast." What?
That was very serious. You can't joke about Batman. Batman's a very serious matter.
He says, "Love the podcast. So glad I found it. I have a question about owning multiple systems. I'm thinking of getting a PS4 once I have the money. I already have an Xbox One. I wonder if you guys think it's a good idea to have multiple systems this generation. Do you find that you buy games for both systems, mainly on one or the other? Do you think it's worth having both? Keep it up. You guys are doing great."
It's all about how you feel about the exclusives. Zach doesn't care. All right, so this fall alone, we have Halo, Tomb Raider, Forza, and I mean, I don't care about Forza really, or Fable, but all those are exclusive to Xbox only. Just like I'm sure we're going to have a variety of games that are going to be only on PlayStation. So if it's worth to you $400 to play Bloodborne, Uncharted, like the next God of War, stuff like that, I say go for it. Why not? I own...
Well, to be fair, out of those, you can only play Bloodborne right now.
Yeah, but all these are coming. He's not buying his console to just play right now. Like.
Yeah, but then maybe you're better off to wait.
I think I would say no. I think I'd say pass until the exclusive library is built up. Because
I think I would buy one of them, and then
he already has an Xbox.
He has Xbox One, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I would say that stick with the Xbox One for now. I mean, again, if there's games that you're enjoying, obviously you chose it already, so I'm guessing you prefer that library of games. And I would say that if you are interested in getting another console for a completely different experience, probably consider the Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii U is a good console, no matter what people say. But I mean, the way he's phrasing it, it makes me think like he has the money already. Like it's not like he's gonna like struggle to like pay for this. He has, a little bit extra money. He wants to buy something he's gonna enjoy from. And I think getting a PS4 is a good deal. I think Bloodborne's really, really fun. There's a lot of these indie games. If you're into indie games, there's a lot of them on PlayStation 4 that are a blast, and I think you'll have a good time there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Red Dawn is still one of the best games on the PS4.
Yeah, like the classic like exclusive checklist. Look and see like how many games that are only on PS4 would you want to play. If it's like 2, maybe pass. If you've got 8, maybe that's worth it to you.
Yeah, or maybe you wait, right? Wait until more stuff comes.
Yeah, because also you got to take into account there's stuff coming. Like there's gonna be new God of War.
For example, there's a Batman PS4 edition coming, so
that looks beautiful.
The perfect excuse to buy a PS4.
A confession that I pre-ordered it.
Oh yeah, me too. How about that? I was sitting there refreshing. I was like, "Where is it? Where is it?" I was dressed up in a Batman costume at the time too.
At the College of Victoria?
With a giant milk bag in hand, with a Bat logo.
All right. Theo writes in with the question of the week. Theo says, Dear Evolve fanboy, PC Master Race enthusiast, and bag milk drinking feline pirate. Gabe, are you a PC Master Race enthusiast?
I wouldn't say so.
All right. We'll just call you the centaur thing from early in the show.
They could have just said the bearded one. That's what
Theo.
people have a thing with my beard. Apparently, like you have no idea. Like if I have like people like 50 people watching me on stream, 10 of them are talking about my beard for some reason. I don't.
They're there for the beard. Fear the beard. Theo says, if you guys could work for one studio of your choice, which would it be, and what job would you pick?
Ubisoft, and I would be the what's it called? The execution. I would be the executioner of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
I thought you were gonna say the executor. You're gonna execute all the people that make Assassin's Creed.
Why kill it? Why not to revolutionize it?
I was joking. No, I wouldn't work at Ubisoft. Ubisoft, great people over there, by the way.
I mean, I would hands down.
Hey, just joking. I'm never gonna work at Ubisoft. I like Ubisoft.
I would hands down work at Nintendo because I think I could make a lot of.
Because you're a Nintendo character. That's why.
In what role? Reggie's role?
No.
Hello, everybody.
How about like
Please be excited.
Secret agent consultant, like come in with the glasses on, like.
Yeah, but then you don't have enough sway.
Okay, fine. No, secret agent consultant who then like infiltrates the company and becomes the CEO.
All right, you know what?
So you want to be the CEO of Nintendo of America or Japan?
Both.
I'm going to ship the Japan department to America and form one united Nintendo.
Right. My Ubisoft one was my joke answer. My real answer is I would replace Gabe Newell, and I would literally just.
You just want his knife collection.
Yeah, I want his knife collection, and I just want to put out Half-Life 3.
Mm-hmm. I would probably choose to work at Naughty Dog. And
what? Not Rocksteady? So you can wear a Batman suit to work all day?
You see, that's the biggest like benefit of that. But I also feel like I couldn't do it better than they are doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would just like to be surrounded by the minds at Naughty Dog. You know what I mean? So it's like I would probably take a marketing role, like be the marketing manager or something like that. But just so, because as much as I'm creative, I can't do the technical stuff. So like maybe I'd like to participate on like the story or something like that as well, like being a part of the creative team in that regard. That would be cool too. But yeah, that's my favorite developer, so I would love to be able to work with them.
Cool.
Alex keeps things rolling by saying, guys, I love the podcast. I listen to it on my 1-hour commute to school. I just got around to listening to the Milk Bags podcast. I just want to let Gabe know that I also love tomatoes yet hate ketchup. I also eat French fries completely plain. You're not alone, buddy.
Thank you. People started tweeting at me. We're gonna start a Kickstarter to get you to try this stuff. I'm like, I guarantee you will not raise enough money that is necessary for this.
Gabe, if someone offered you $50,000 to taste,
not even 50. If somebody gave you $50,
no, I'm not trying $50. Like I've been offered $1,000 to try ketchup and I have turned it down.
You are
$1,000?
Yeah.
Wow. Note to self: never consult with Gabe about money decisions. $1,000, really?
A large group
to lick some ketchup.
A large group of people decided to say, "Hey,
it wasn't okay. It wasn't even like a lot of ketchup. You just have to try it. Like you don't need to like.
And I'm not
doing
doing
a whole bottle of it.
No. Just to try it, and I'm not doing it. Like my first.
Is this just like a thing for you? Like I'm like I can't understand that. Like,
I would try most foods for $1,000. Like if I just had to take one bite.
I was talking about this on the stream last night. I've had snake. I have no problem eating weird stuff. I've had snake.
But not mushed tomatoes.
No, I'm not doing it.
Do you eat tomatoes?
I don't. I'd rather not. But like I'll eat tomatoes on a burger.
What if I took a tomato and mushed it? Would you eat it?
No.
Wait.
Gabriel.
Wait. I have one more question. When you eat the tomatoes, do you chew them? Yes.
No. Well, here's the thing.
You don't just swallow them whole.
And I hate to get weirder every week. Every week we're uncovering a layer of Gabe. It's freaking weird. I think I might have said this to Zach before. I don't have a sense of smell. I've never had one. I can't smell anything. So I think.
Okay, so then half of your taste is influenced because half of taste.
Yeah, I was about to say. I don't think my taste buds are what everybody else is.
Okay.
So. Tomatoes, I generally really don't eat. Like I'll eat like a tiny like small piece of one. Like
but you still
what's
chew
the
it.
ketchup fear though? That's gonna take.
Meaning, if you chew it, you're smashing the tomato. Meaning, you're recreating.
No, I don't
to a
chew as
certain
much. I don't chew as much as I don't chew as
Just
much as I should.
swallow
I
it.
guarantee you.
What is the fear? That's what I want. That's what I want to isolate.
It's not fear. I'm not.
So why would you not try
Just a
it for
general
$1,000?
anxiety about ketchup.
Maybe it is fear. It sort of freaks me out. Like I can't
Yeah,
even.
you
look
see?
at it. I can't look at ketchup.
So maybe
Oh
you
my
have a
God.
tomato phobia.
I don't know. Well, no, it's not just ketchup. I also don't mess with mayonnaise, mustard, like none of that. Like,
Sauce phobia.
Do you eat applesauce?
no. Why would I do that?
Have you ever had
I love your
applesauce?
weirdness.
I've never had applesauce. I've never had like yogurt. I've never had like oatmeal.
Gabe.
Squishy stuff and me don't mix, man.
You don't know though. You've never tried it.
I'm not messing with it.
All right. If we get you to E3, we are gonna have you taste this live on the podcast.
Not ketchup or not.
We're gonna have all of the golden squishy foods
Nah.
ready, lined up for you to taste.
Okay, what if we did this? What if we blindfolded you and you never knew that it was ketchup?
Well, first of all, I hesitate to think of any situation where I would find myself blindfolded or allow myself.
I know, but what I mean is like maybe it's just the visual of it, right? Because if your taste buds barely understand what's happening, anyways, it's like maybe if you're blindfolded, you'd be a lot more receptive to actually.
No, I'm not letting you do that to me. Like,
What is the threshold? What is the ketchup tasting threshold? What would it have to be for you to taste it? Like your wife is dying, and if you don't eat this ketchup, she's gone.
God.
What?
I'm just saying. You want to take $1,000?
No, I mean, I guess a life is worth a lot more than $1,000. So at that point, yes, I'm trying to catch up. Nobody go kidnap Lucy.
What about $10,000?
I'd have to like strongly consider.
Oh
it
my
at that
God! If you guys
You
want
are
to pay me
insane.
$10,000 to taste your ketchup or any other foods, I'm available for.
But, no, I know it. I know
Pretty good
it's
job.
weird. Like I know it's really weird. Like I'm telling you, I had a pool of friends like say, hey, we will all pull together, give you $1,000 cash right now, to just try some ketchup. And I
Maybe
had
you're
to-
just pulling our leg. You're just like the ketchup god at home. You're just like chowing down.
Yeah, he's just like as soon as the podcast's over, he just picks up 2 bottles of ketchup and like mayo, and he just like just squeezes it. He's like,
No,
those
I can't even
fools.
hear that. Like, it makes me so squeamish. Get out of here. with
He's
that.
probably raising. Like you see, this is the problem. He's raising the stakes so that
I
eventually
think
when he
Gabe's feet
puts a
are
Kickstarter-
currently. I think his feet are currently in like boxes of ketchup. He just like experienced it
No,
for the
man,
whole podcast.
Hey,
All right.
move on. Let's move on, man. Get out of here.
He's
Tyler wants to know, in a world full of ketchup where you're bathing in it, your clothes are covered in ketchup, your life is about. Tyler wants to know if we prefer downloaded games or buying games. At this point in the current generation, are we more of a digital person or more of a physical person after a couple of years of the new systems?
Digital,
And why?
because I don't want to get up.
All right, fair enough.
Man. Well, I don't know. He wasn't asking
that
me. I
ketchup
just,
bath is too comfortable.
oh man, stop. You guys are
Like in between your toes, you know, when you get like stuff.
Yo, shut up, man. Shut up.
That's grossly giving me out.
I like a mix of both. I like the shelf thing. I'm just a display-oriented person, so I like having that. But it is so convenient to just swap between games. I think that's my definite preference if I can get myself away from the need that. Like, I wish you could go to the store and buy like a $3 box that has a download code in it or something, or a $60
Well, that's what
box.
they did with Garden Warfare, didn't they?
No, there was a disc.
Oh,
I think it would just be awesome if there was the option to buy a discless box, so I could have the box.
There is an
well,
option.
you
no,
could
no,
buy
it
a
is.
box
It's
and then
called eBay,
print it.
Zach.
Yeah, make your own cases. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff with that.
Yeah,
What about
but
you, Max?
I don't know. For me, I feel like we're not quite there because of memory. Like I told myself, okay, I'm gonna try to become more digital, you know, because I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll try to do it. But then my PS4 like runs out of memory so fast. Like
Get an external hard drive.
Sorry, space like hard drive and stuff, and it's just. The storage is not big enough yet for these games. Like these games
Yeah.
are getting bigger and bigger, and the storage is simply like we need to be talking about like terabytes of storage.
I think that was a huge oversight in the design of the consoles that they released them with 500. I mean, it does make your system kind of feel like an arcade when you can scroll through like all these downloadable games, all these disc-based games. I shoved a 2 terabyte hard drive into my PS4, and that was like the best decision ever because now everything can be on there, which is
Well, up until the part where you lost all your save files or something, no?
Well, that was when I transferred it. Yeah, in the transfer process.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah. But I still also I agree with you. I love the fact that I can look over and I can see these ding 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 ding. Like there's just something satisfying. Like I love the fact that I have all my Batman games in an order. Then I have all my Lego games. And it's there's just something really weird about like textile about having it there versus if it's somewhere in virtual. Like you don't feel like you really own it.
Right.
It's almost like you're renting it.
The 10, 15-year-old kids now, they're not gonna know that. They don't know what it's like to have Super Nintendo cartridges display. 20 years from now, no one's gonna care about having a display case full of games. And what I mean by nobody is the general masses of kids.
I really like box art. I think going and picking a game off the shelf and being like, hey, let's play this. And to me, there's a lot of just kind of fun wrapped up in that. Have you guys seen the Yoshi's Woolly World box art?
No, I have not. Is it cool?
It looks like you could.
It's been delayed, by the way, to the fall.
Yeah, because they have nothing.
And there you go. Like I told you that they would have nothing.
Delayed.
I was right. Yeah. By the way, Zach has been recording this podcast upside down, glued to his ceiling the whole time.
I'm protesting the Zelda delay by putting all of the Zelda memorabilia upside down in my house. I think. Well, the box art for Yoshi's Woolly World to get back looks like it's a 2-year-old TV show, for 2-year-olds. So I thought you should check it out. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Thanks.
Our final question of the day comes from Rob the Butcher.
Whoa. This took a dark turn all of a sudden.
Man, Gabe, Rob the Butcher, he's going to have ketchup seeping down your walls. It's going to be...
I hate you guys right now. Go on.
He wants to know, basically, and we kind of touched on this last week, but I thought he framed it interestingly. He talks about all the different Star Wars games that have been made, and now that we know that BioWare, Visceral Dice are all working on Star Wars games, what kind of Star Wars game do you want to see most as we enter sort of this new era of Star Wars? Are you just want shooters? Do you want more of an RPG? He brought up one of his favorites was Republic Commando, where it was more of a squad-based game. What do you want from Star Wars as we move into Episode 7, 9?
Mass Effect crossover. How cool would that be?
Well,
Shepard's we sense the Force off in this region of space.
Yeah.
I would prefer for them to do a Mass Effect styled game.
Yeah, that's what
That would be awesome. That would be great, actually. That's perfect because there's lots of lore to take there and lots of planets to explore. That would be genius. I would love that.
Yeah, just credit me with the idea. Just give me $1 million and we'll be all right.
There we go. Bam. And endless coupons for ketchup.
Yes, I think like a character, not character action like God of War or Force Unleashed, but more of take a bounty hunter, almost what 1313 could have been, and make it a very pretty Star Wars shooter, but a single-player shooter that has upgrades and different weapons. I think in that world, experiencing those different environments would be really cool, almost as an assassin, not Assassin's Creed, but a.
All right, okay, here, I got the perfect Star Wars game for Zach. All right, so you're
Mario with a lightsaber.
No. You're on an alien planet. You can even make it a new planet. I don't care if it's not Tatooine or whatever.
Okay.
There's very tall structures. You play as a new race of alien, one that's sole job is to kill other aliens with little knives on his wrist. So you got to climb to the very top of each one of these structures to synchronize with the rest of the world, so that you can see the other areas, right? And once you synchronize, you jump down, and you land
complete petty tasks for the next 35 hours.
Yeah, you got to chase what's the equivalent of a paper in Star Wars? I don't know.
A midichlorian, a floating midichlorian that you have to go.
Yeah, so you chase that. Yeah. Basically, I'm saying you want an Assassin's Creed Star Wars game.
You guys can send your ketchup-related tweets to Gabe at Vault on Twitter.
No, you can't.
You can find Max and all of his claw gloriness at Blitzwinger on Twitter.
Quick hijack just to pimp a couple of things because we never do it.
All right.
iTunes. If you're watching this on YouTube, please support. Go to iTunes, download it there, even if you don't want to listen. It's better.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say another thing to build on that. Starting next episode, guys, what we might start doing, we'll see, we're still considering it, is reading one of your guys' reviews live on the air as kind of a give back and nod back to you for helping us out. So, of course, if you head over to iTunes and you write review, you will be then possibly selected for your review being read live on the air, which is
so
we'll pick that up next week.
Yeah, so write a review, just show support, keep showing that iTunes support so that the podcast can keep growing. Like I said, better audio quality, like way better audio quality. So if you're the type that plays it on YouTube, but you're just like playing a game and you're not really paying attention to the video, go to iTunes and download it off of there. The quality is better that way. You're helping us out. You're helping
Yeah.
us grow.
If you want to be awesome, if you listen on iTunes, open up the YouTube window as well, real quick. If you watch on YouTube, download it on iTunes. It's a great way to support us. We
The
are
best
obviously.
way to watch it is open the video and then sync the audio because the audio quality is better over there.
Right,
So
right.
if you sync it both, imagine it's the ultimate experience, the way to listen to Can't Stop Playing.
And we never mentioned this stuff, but Zach's gonna start getting into streaming sometime soon. I'm starting streaming. Max streams, so follow us on Twitch. Follow us everywhere, man.
Follow us everywhere. At your house.
Not really, no. I don't want that. I'm okay.
Where can we send ketchup, Gabe? What's your mailing address? Can we?
Do you have a P.O. box?
Ketchup lane.
Just literally boxes of ketchup in your PO box.
No, thank you.
Open it up and just be swimming in ketchup. It would be like a tsunami of red.
Don't waste precious resources on me.
Precious ketchup resources.
That's so gross.
I'm at Ghost Robo on Twitter, and we will be back next week with another show. Keep sending in your questions, your comments, your thoughts to can'tstopasking@gmail.com. We pulled this week's main event from there. Let us know what you think of the new format, and we'll bring more stuff, incorporating some new segments as well when we return next weekend. Until that time, though, guys and girls, have a great week. Enjoy your games. Think about ketchup. And until next time, we'll see you all. Gabe's shaking his head so viciously right now. Gabe,
What's up?
what do you have to say? Close us out here.
Like, I legitimately feel that ketchup is like one of the worst things in the world.